Hello, everybody. I'm back. um, Hope you're all doing good. It's been almost 3 weeks. Hello to Hop Up to Bed and to Infinity Words. Hello, good evening to you. Yeah, I'm back to my regular schedule of streaming again. Again, hope you're all doing well, first and foremost. It's been almost 3 weeks since I have been streaming, so as you well would have already known, I've been away playing in the SPC in South Bend, Indiana, and then straight away after that, pretty much the week after that, I went over to Albuquerque to play in the World Cup. And I got back home Wednesday night, so I was pretty tired, and I had to get some other stuff done, and obviously spend time with family. So I didn't stream on Thursday, but I'm back again right now. And this week, we're going to be going through the games that I played in the SPC first and foremost, and then that's what we're going to do today. And then on Thursday, hopefully, I will be able to go through the games that I played for World Cup during World Cup. So yeah, that's kind of what the plan is for then, and then after that, we'll just kind of next week we'll just kind of go back to the regular playing games and anagrams and stuff as usual. But yeah, I mean, obviously there were 31 games for both tournaments, so I'm not going to go through every single one. I will go through some of the games. I think I've kind of highlighted maybe 8 or 9 of the games to go through today. I kind of speed through parts of it and just tell you about kind of important moves or interesting moves and positions that I came across or that my opponent came across. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. So yeah, I think we should just go forth and start going through these games. And yeah, I mean, again, if a lot of you didn't necessarily hear or see about the SPC, again, congrats to Josh Castellano, who won his first, I guess, de facto nationals. So, I mean, he's been improving for a very long time, and it's really a matter of time until he actually won a tournament of this magnitude. So again, no real surprise from my side that he actually won. He's been improving for a while, as I said. And we might end up going, I think we probably will end up going through one of the games that I played against him during that tournament. And he actually beat Wasim Khatri from Pakistan 3-0. So I say pretty convincing, as about as convincing as you can get in a final. But yeah, both very strong players. Both of them making the final after 28 games, after four days of play, and then the rest of the players of the division basically just kind of duke it out for the other positions, continue the tournament for another 3 more games. So yeah, you may have already known that I finished in 4th place. Notably, in this tournament, I was incredibly streaky. All my wins, so I have all my score sheets here. All of them here. I've analyzed every single one, and I have my scorecard as well. You can see, like, I had a win, and I had a lot of losses, and then I won a whole bunch of stuff, and then wait, which way around is it? It's the other way around. I won some more, and then I lost a whole bunch, and then I just went on a big winning streak towards the end. So I got to 20 wins and 11 losses. So yeah, we'll kind of go through the kind of ups and downs of the tournament. And I think what we'll do is start with game number 1. Again, I'm going to go through kind of notable kind of happenings that happen in this tournament, or even kind of interesting things. So this has probably never happened to me before, and I have actually talked about it online already. But I will show you what actually happened. So let's go to the quackle game viewer. Congrats, says How About the Bed, thank you. And also congrats to you as well for winning your division. Again, not a surprise because you are much better than your division, so I am anticipating bigger rating improvements on your side pretty soon. Okay, so we will start with game number 1. I'm playing against Kaveri Warrior, who I've actually honestly never heard of before until literally the day before. So I got to South Bend the day before, and then I went to the early bird and saw that everyone was playing in the room, and then there was a lady that came to me, and then I was just kind of sat next to the streaming table basically, and the lady came up to me and said, "Hey, are you the guy from the YouTube video?" And you know, this YouTube video here with the Try Guys. And I was like, yeah, I guess I am. Yes, I am that person. And then she said, "Oh, okay, I need to take a picture with you." And oh, you're really famous in India. I was like, okay. So we just took a selfie, and that was that. And some other guy asked me like, "Oh, are you the guy from the video, from the Scrabble video?" I was like, "Yes, I guess I am that guy. Yes." And then the next day, I was kind of milling around Starbucks in one of the hotels, and then another guy recognized me from the Scrabble, from that Try Guys video. And then I got to the playing room and realized that that first lady that asked me for the picture, I was actually playing her in game 1. And this is the lady that I was actually playing against. And she was incredibly nervous. She's relatively new player as well. So she was kind of babbling on a little bit, but yeah, tell her that she was kind of very nervous and things like that. And then she actually saw Jackson Smiley walk past, and then kind of grabbed him, and then said, "Oh, I need to take a picture with you too. I need to take a picture with you." And then she basically just gave me her phone, and then I took a picture of her and Jackson as he was just walking past. So I was like, okay, well, this is a bit of a weird start to the tournament, but never mind. Anyway. Let's get on with the game. So our first move was actually to play moi. So let's put that in. We don't obviously know her racks, but we're gonna just go with it through this. And then my first rack here is I'm trying to alphabetize this. It's this. So again, you can see the scores on top. It's in order of whoever started first on the left, and then whoever starts is on the score on the left, and whoever's second is on the right. So she's got 10 points. I have 0. And yeah, I have this move. I'm going to go through this first part pretty quickly because it was relatively straightforward moves, but you'll see what happened at the end. You can generate moves. Wait, this is set to CSW. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so Orc was the best move according to the analyzer, and that's what I played. She ends up playing. She ends up putting Bio on the board to start, but she ends up playing it right here, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe she doesn't know her threes, which is a good sign for me. All right. But then she ends up taking it off the board with KIB, obviously not being a valid play, but she ends up finding the valid play of Bio on this side, so which was actually a better play, unfortunately for me. But yeah, there we go. So they kind of gave me a bit of a slight heads up as to maybe her level of play. Again, I don't really know much about her, so just kind of giving an idea. So this is my rack. It's actually this one was probably a very interesting move here. You can see from this rack there's not really that many options available. I don't want to kind of like go through it too much. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I can play that either scores well but has a terrible leave, or potentially doesn't score very much at all and keeps good tiles. The S is worth a lot here because of the S hook here. There's a T hook here, and then there's maybe like an ER, ES thing here, and an R here. So I thought it was the board was kind of in good shape for me to bingo if I can kind of shed some of these constants. Hop Out to Bed saying CSW division is wild. Someone who doesn't know threes versus 2,000 players. To some degree, yes, because I guess the average rating of a player in Collins is going to be much higher than just the average player in general. So so yeah. So I ended up playing. What do I play here? I actually do play Woots here. I didn't particularly like this play. because I didn't want to put the Z out in this spot, but well, I thought, well, if I draw another vowel and some other consonant, I might be able to bingo. Should be fine. But yeah, I did this, so I think it was a decent play. She played zing onto the Z. I tagged a typo as well, saying welcome everyone to Austin Eventually Gets Unlucky, episode 14. Yep, that's exactly why I'm here. Well, I'm just telling you how much I suck, basically, because I didn't win. So yeah. But here, I played Crest. It seemed like a no-brainer play here, and the analyzer agrees with that as well. 35 points, keeping RT. So good move there. But here, again, going from like a couple of moves ago where she was about to play KIB, she ends up playing a bingo onto Crest. She plays Uranias with an I as a blank. So I'm like, oh, okay. Not necessarily the best bingo possible here, but you know Uranias, but you don't know your three. So I'm like, okay, not quite sure what to think now. But that's what she did. So she goes out to a slight lead until I have this rack here, which is a pretty much a almost an instant play. Just play Fanny and Bai underneath the B. By far the best play here. So it kind of puts me back into the lead again. I'm up by 9 points. And then she plays Sight onto the C here. And I get pretty lucky with this. Again, gonna tell you, gonna tell you extra typo. This is not an unlucky game. This is a lucky game for me because I do end up drawing into this rack here. I do draw into an S and a blank, and I play the highest scoring bingo here for 104 points, which is trashed. Again, a little bit dangerous with the triple underneath, but definitely worth the points in this situation. So I played that for 104, and then she plays. So I'm taking about a 100-point lead here, so I'm looking pretty good. She plays Vi for 22. I have this rack now. So obviously, yeah, obviously, I was trying to think of what the best bingo was here, if there were any, especially with Pillage on my rack, which doesn't play. And I was kind of thinking of if Lapelling is good, which I rightly worked out is not good. But I do play the only bingo playable here. Aspergill. Gonna do better than that, Asper typo. So I do find the only bingo here. Pelagial for 63 points, and that's what I did, so good there. And then she plays Fugu for 27, so still in good shape. And again, I will happily admit I got lucky again. I do have another bingo, which is the only playable bingo here. I have reteamed onto the T of Sight, which I play. So going from 9 points down, I'm now up by 170 odd points. So yeah, very quickly changed here. Okay, so Olio was played. What about hooks? Is it something weird, like a J or something? Okay, so I have that. And then the next move, I almost draw into another bingo, but not quite. So I have this. So pretty standard play, just playing in the bottom right corner, playing Doubt, which I think seems to be the best play after little sim. AIS and Asper take no further hooks. Okay. Is there any reason why I should know that? Are you just trying to show off your hooks knowledge? It's funny you know your hooks, but you don't know your threes. Okay, so what does she do here? She plays Optic for 18, which is played like this, which is nice because it blocks up the board even more. I'm like, okay, cool. No problem with that whatsoever. And then, RV. So I have this rack. This is not necessarily the standard play. Well, it's not standard play. It is probably the equity play, but not the winningest play, because I do attempt to open up the 9 timer lane, even though I'm so far ahead. But again, kind of, I guess in this kind of situation, just based on who I'm playing, I think I'm more likely to hit something harder with this open. Try and get some more spread. So I've been having for 26. She ends up playing, dumping a bunch of vowels here, playing High Oi for 21. And yeah, I do draw into a bunch of consonants, very clunky ones. And I play Wadey here. This is actually technically a mistake. I should have played something like, yeah, something a little bit better than that. I can't remember what the best move was now, but yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. I was just kind of trying to, I don't know if there were any kind of weird bingos that would fit, but there were still bingos that would fit after that anyway. So, trying to do something here and then maybe get something with like a jar down here with Via. That was kind of my idea. Yeah, didn't see view, maybe. I can't even remember now if that actually was the best play, or doing something like getting rid of J or something. But I guess I was maybe opening up earlier and then realizing, oh, the letters are not particularly good if the Q and the X are still in the bag, so slightly more worrying. But yeah, I play Wadey here. And then she plays Apexes. I don't even know if she even thought about how many were in the bag, or the Q that was still lurking around. So she played Apexes, emptying the bag. Obviously no bingos there. Okay, so this is the notable part of the game. Okay, so look at this. So don't even need to know to score, but like I'm obviously going to win this game. I have this rack, and then you can see what letters are left. You can see there's an E, N, Q, and R. So anyone at like any tournament level will notice that there is a Q unseen, and you may notice also there is no place to play it. So I'm like, oh, okay, 164 point difference right now. I have the J, I have the B, I have a lot of things that I can probably score with. I can get some points. So I'm like, okay, I'm licking my lips here. I have about 12 minutes left on my time, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work out right now what my best kind of out in 12 is, or 12 play, you know, that I could do right now. So I decided I'm playing Lex here, which I think is a decent play. It's kind of a nothing play, because I just want to score some points. Don't want to open anything up. I don't want to kind of give away what I'm trying to do. So I can't actually. I mean, again, I have played about 60 other games since I actually last looked at this, and I cannot fully remember what I was trying to do. But it might have been something like putting the L here, putting the L here, and then putting like the J here, and then putting the R here, and then putting the A here, and then with the LEB that I have left, I was going to play them out slowly, in some way or other. I can't fully remember what my sequence was, but I was going to try and get a whole bunch of stuff. Whole bunch of points. As you can see, I'm probably going to get a lot of points out of this. So like Lex was already 14 points. J would be 8, so 8, 9, 10. Jar would be another 18. then a jar would be 20. So you can see those, and then I have 3 other tiles. So I'm actually quite quickly wrapping up the score with those moves. I mean, with those 4 moves alone, I probably have got about 60 odd points already. And then you add the 20 for the Q, and then again, whatever I was thinking with the L, E, and the B, I'll probably get to about 100. So yeah, that's what I did. I decided to just put Lex. That's just, I mean, sorry, it might not be the LEB, it's the OBE, sorry. So yeah, that's what I tried to do. So I did this fast. So this is her rack. Again, this is from her point of view, and you're not gonna. I mean, if you haven't seen what I have shared online, then you're not gonna believe what she did next. So, her next move was a move that you guys would never have ever come up with, because here are the 4 tiles, unseen to me, and then she plays QAT on the board. And I'm like, what? Wait, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm counting all the A's. I'm counting everything. Wait a minute. Whoa, 1 second. 1 second, guys. So I'm committing this move, because that's actually what happened. And again, I'm going to put down the letters that I have on my rack. And it comes up with it. I mean, quackle is coming up with an error. You can't see it, but it's coming up with an error saying that the letters are not right. But I'm going to put it in anyway. So she has 2 tiles left, and it says that there are 3 in the bag, but there are 2. I expected something like this, or go out with a Q. Expected to play Kern or something. Yeah, so you end up realizing there are 10 A's in the bag. And now I have absolutely got no idea what 2 letters that she has. Like, are they completely rogue letters, like not part of the set, or are they RN, RE, EN? Like, what are they? Could they be? And what am I supposed to do? So yeah, there are 10 A's on the board right now. And the story behind it is that she actually just got her tiles the day before from registering for the SPC. I mean, as all the entrants do, and you just kind of like, okay, you're allowed a free rack and a free set of tiles. So okay, we took one, and then she decided to use it for the next day for this game, game 1 of the tournament. And then obviously we kind of squared the tiles, and was like, okay. Well, we actually initially the tile bag had all the tiles in them. They were not squared on the board, so I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. We should actually just put them on the table on the board to square them. And of course, with the NASPA tiles that you receive from them, there are 8 blanks in there. So there are 4 sets of different kinds of blanks that you could use. So you just take the 2 that you want, and you just discard the other 6. So I was like, oh, I completely forgot about that. And then I was like, okay, good thing we did this, because we didn't play with 8 blanks in that game. And that's exactly why you should square the board. But when we were squaring the board, all of the other tiles were there. So there were 98 other tiles and 2 blanks. So I was like, okay, cool. We're ready to play just like anyone else. But we didn't check the distribution. So there were 10 A's. And again, I have no idea what letters she has, so I have to play a move that gets rid of as many tiles as I can now. So instead of just playing out 1 by 1 and getting her with the Q, I'm now just playing a move that gets rid of anything and everything I've got, because I don't know what other tiles she had. Like, she could have another Q in her rack for all I know. I'm pretty sure she would notice, but she could have another like a V or something, and they can't play anything or whatnot. I don't know. So I decided to just play Joe Boa here to get rid of my J and the B. Again, no clue what she has. And then she plays out the next turn with RE. So that's it. It's technically that's game over. So that's basically it. Yeah. uh, so there actually was no N. There was only 5 N's in the set, and there was one short, and then there was an extra A in the set. Do you not square your tiles alphabetically before first round? So I didn't actually know that those were the. I wasn't. Maybe I wasn't necessarily. I'm sure. I don't even know if I knew. I guess I knew because all 8 blanks were in there, but I never really like thought about checking the distribution. Although I am fully aware that when NASPA gives out their tiles, they're quite notoriously wrong a lot of the time. Which I know because I have asked for tile sets from NASPA for school Scrabble and things like that. And not only that, I got a set myself from registration, which is actually missing an N, funny enough. It actually got an extra O in my set. And then the other set that I have, I think has... No, sorry. I have a set, and then my mother-in-law Lila, who was helping out in the tournament, got a set also. So my one was missing an N, and her one had an extra O. So both of those sets that we received were technically not right, or not 100% accurate at the very least. So for sure, I should always be paying attention to that. Again, you shouldn't necessarily be having to think that, okay, I got these tiles from this place and we're now using them, so they are probably not accurate, so let's have a look at them. I just, generally like to give people the, the I can't remember what the word is, but I to trust that it's going to be correct, but I guess now. If that happens again, then I will make sure that I will check the distribution if I am using a completely new set of tiles, which I should have clocked onto, but I didn't at the time. But nevertheless, at least this result wasn't different. We actually did have the scores at 304 and 491, so this is not technically right, but I did win by about 180, 190 points. So it could have been close to about 300 if I actually did check the set, or if I knew that there were extra tiles, or for whatnot. The A was actually an N in the bag, and then I would have Q stuck him. So finally we found an endgame dungeon couldn't solve, exactly. So yeah, that was the story of round 1, which I don't think has ever happened to me before, which is why I kind of wanted to talk about it. But in terms of the game itself, yeah, got 3 bingos in a row mid-game. She got a bingo early on, but other than that, it was a big win for me. So yeah, I won the first game. So we're going to skip to game number 5 against the eventual winner, Josh Castellano. But in between that, I ended up losing to Charles Ranke by 58 in round 2. I lost to Bradley Whitmarsh in round 3 by 33 points. And then, to my bemusement, I was actually paired up against Will Anderson on game 4, who I also lost to by 120 points. I think these 3 games probably couldn't really win. Charles in round 2 had a double blank bingo towards the end of the game, which he bingoed out. Not bingoed out, but he bingoed very close to the end of the game, which is why I lost by about 58. My game against Bradley Whitmarsh, I was actually leading early on, or into the middle of the game, but he ended up, I ended up getting stuck with some fishy tiles, which actually were the right plays. And then I ended up playing moves for 18, 21, 15, and 8 points, which actually was the second best play, so it wasn't really a wrong thing. And by that time, I was already a bingo behind. And then I bingoed, and then he bingoed, and that was it. I couldn't really catch up. And then the game against Will Anderson, yeah, he actually ended up bingoing, I think 5 times. It was actually no, it wasn't 5 times. It was 3 times. But he actually missed a bingo at the end with 2 blanks, so it could have been a lot worse. So yeah, those 3 games were pretty dire. But we'll move on to game number 5 right now against Josh Castellano, which was an interesting game, kind of towards the end, as to what I probably should have done or could have done. So let's have a look at this right now. Just gonna, let me just type his name out. We'll start a new game here. We'll reset this. Wait a minute, am I going fast? Wait, let me do this again. Okay, so we're going to reset this. Okay, so I'm first. I have a very, very poor rack here of this. And I exchanged 6 tiles, kept an A. Which I think after, well, I think after a sim it was actually best anyway, but it was one of the best moves. He played Wenge for 26 points. What do I do here? E-E-I-O-O-R-V. That's why you didn't win. You immediately destabilized both Kaveri and the distribution. I wish I could use that as an excuse. I wish. Here, they're playing Vino, which I think, well, after I simmed it in Macondo, it turned out to be the best play, but yeah. So yeah, that's what happened. And then he plays. Let me just see. Let me just make sure where it is. Yeah, here he plays it underneath. He plays Trank, which was slightly unlucky on my part, because I ended up drawing into, well, I say unlucky, but I was lucky to draw into O'Leary to begin with, but unlucky that I actually ended up having no place to play it now after Trank. I guess the chances of my opponent playing through that E or onto the E of Wenge is probably not overly high most of the time. Probably expecting a play parallel to Wenge or down from the E or W, but playing Trank like this means I didn't have a place, so ended up playing the best move here. I played Alienor for 28, just trying to get some points on the board. And he plays Moit here. And I have this rack. So yeah, I need another Val for a bingo in this spot, but the A of Alienor not in the right place for me. And yeah, I played Hepa over here, which actually is the second best play. It does like Staff and Tranks. Okay, we have another. Wait 1 second. Okay, so I played Hepa, pretty solid play here. And then he plays Root for 26 points. And I'm stuck with one of these kind of close to bingo racks, but not quite there racks. So yeah, I decided to just try and get some points and block that triple. So I play Wand for 24. AERS as a leave, pretty good. And then he plays Garbo onto the R, or through the R of Brute. And finally, I do manage to draw into a bingo. Have this rack. I play the highest scoring bingo here for 88 points. Adverse and Alienor's. Doesn't open really anything, so this was like perfect here. Finally getting my nodes in front in this game. And then he opens up the triple here with Avoid. So good there. And I actually draw pretty favorably after the bingo as well. What do I have here? I can read my handwriting. I think it's wait a minute. Oh wait, yeah, okay, I can just about read my handwriting here. E F K P S S C. Okay, so this is what I have. So it's hard to read my handwriting in the best of times. But make a note of that whilst I can, so I still have it in my mind. Okay, so that's what I have. I have the option of playing either Zap or Zack, or Zaps or Zacks down next to Heppa. I actually, Cosmographer, did I miss the analysis of the game where I stomped you? I did mention it. I'm going through it in chronological order, and we did play in game 2, and you did win. I did mention that you won, thanks to a double blank bingo, which kind of did me in. But we did not analyze the game on stream. I didn't want to show how much of a luck sack you are, so. But yeah, save it for another time. No, you played very well in that game. I was like, got no response for that bingo, which coincidentally made it very boring otherwise, so I couldn't go through it on stream. If you made it a bit closer, maybe we would have. So yeah, I played Zap here. I decided to keep the K. I think that the K goes much better with the S's and the F that I have here, but with the P and the F together, not so good. So yeah, played Zap. Yeah, more fun if I draw the blanks separately and stop you by more. Also true. Also true. And then if you did that and you bingoed more often, then I would have showed how brilliant you are, and I would have went on through the game. But you just got greedy, getting both blanks at the same time. I mean, save some for the rest of us, you know. Come on. So my opponent played UH here, which was a bit of a fishy play. I was like, oh, it's interesting. Especially now, since that I got the blank and I have 2 S's. So I was like, wonder what he really has, because these S's in the blank will go really well here, and there aren't. Well, I said there aren't that many other letters, but there's still only 1 S, 1 D. There are 3 T's technically as well that would go there. That would kind of be nice to go there, but I'm holding 2 S's in the blank, so maybe he has one of those other tiles, those good tiles. So yeah, I didn't really have much of a choice here but to kind of get rid of some of my clunky tiles, so I played Fank, potentially setting up the S for maybe another turn. If I do draw like a big tile and get the S hook and get the triple, for example. But this also keeps me about a bingo ahead. But yeah, after that he plays Destined, so he ends up if I can type right. He plays that along the triple to go ahead. And here's a crucial move now, and I wanted to know what you guys think about this, because I ran this through Macondo. I won't tell you what I did just yet, but I, according to Macondo, did the right thing. And it won a sim by like 4 or 5 points. So this is what I did. This is my rack. So here's an interesting idea, because I have bingos to play here. I have things like Motzes, Missort, those kind of things that go down parallel to UH. Again, my opponent just bingoed, so it's I know. We have got absolutely no idea what he has. We can't do any inference there. But any bingo down next to UH is going to give away a lot of points. So should I be bingoing on this turn here? Knowing that I have already spotted what is going to be a very high scoring play, so like not playing Storms down here, but I could play Storm next to Trank. So I could play this. This is actually what I ended up doing. I played Storm for 44 points, keeping ST blank. And if you see the tiles left, there's lots of E's, lots of I's, and I could draw into, I don't know, maybe one of the C's, and I can play a bingo down here and block the, and end up blocking something. I don't need to worry about it next turn. But I was thinking, okay, I might go up 40 points here on a relatively, it's not completely close, but it's a relatively close board. Really now just the D of Destined and then this up hook that's left. But yeah, this is what I did. So if I generate the choices, statically Storm actually does come up as number 1. And this only, I know that it's static, and we could always simulate this more, but it only becomes even better because all these other moves are all next to the triple, and they're going to give away so many more points than what Storm does, because Storm doesn't give away anything. So I don't know if I have the capacity to simulate this, but I'm going to simulate it. And it's actually way more than 5 points according to Quackle. Well, is it about 5 points? It is about 5 points actually, of the Stroms. Mainly because this is very difficult to kind of parallel play next to it. So it was kind of a decision at the time when I played it. I was like, oh no. Knowing that I actually lost this game, I already told you that already. So after the game, I was like, oh no, I should have just played the bingo. Why didn't I just play the bingo? I probably would have won. I made the wrong decision playing Storm. So yeah, I went with Storm. I mean, again, it does come out on top. It's not even, I'm not saying not necessarily close, but I mean, it's pretty far and away ahead of all the other options in terms of win percentage. 3% is quite a big difference between any two moves, especially the first move and the second best move. That's quite a sizable difference, and it's about a 4-point difference in terms of the evaluation right now, which again is not necessarily a lot, but you can't really argue with the win percentage if it's that much different, about 3% difference, or 3.5%. So then when I analyzed it, I was like, oh, maybe I actually did the right play. I mean, whether or not you would say strategically this is the best play or not, I don't know, but according to the analyzer of Macondo and Quackle, it does say that Storm is the winningest play. So that's what I end up doing. So I was like, oh, great. Well, I don't feel so bad. So yeah, that was a kind of interesting position in this game, which actually did swing. I'm not saying swing things, but it did make a difference in the end. So we kind of go forward and we play Storm. As you can see, I'm up by 38 points right now. And after quite some time of thinking, Josh decides to play Lutia here next to so he is now 14 points behind. And then I have this rack, which again crucial because he ends up blocking things like outings or pig outs or things like that. That I was like, oh, I can play pig outs going down here, making oop and which would have surely have just killed off the game. But I ended up realizing now I don't have anything to play. Like nothing fits now, and I don't have an E, which doesn't help me here. I don't have an E or an A to go next to Lutia. I have no bingo with the D of Destined. I have no vowel ending bingo that can be played above or below the G here. So now I'm stuck with a rack that doesn't really do too well. But this is the move. Say if the last move wasn't pivotal, then perhaps this one was. Because I actually do have one playable bingo in this spot. And I'm going to give you like 30 seconds or so to try and figure out what that is. And just bear in mind that I probably have like, I don't know, 8 to 10 minutes left of the stage. We're getting, well, we've got 20 unseen tiles, so 13 in the bag. I need longer than 30 seconds. Okay, the thing is that you probably would need more than 30 seconds. But I think that if you cannot find it in 30 seconds, you pretty much wouldn't find it otherwise. Okay, so Axel Typo did not need 30 seconds. He actually found it. So if I generate choices, Gus Station for 59 is the only playable bingo here, which I did not find. So could you say that this is the pivotal moment? At the same time, I decided to play About. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm still going to be about 40 points ahead on this board. I'm not in bad shape. GIS is not too bad. GIS blank, that is. So I'm like, okay, well, that's fair enough. So this is actually one of the 3 bingos that I missed in this whole tournament. Not an easy one. Is it 3? Maybe it's more than 3. I can't remember now. Thanks to Kinder or Kinda Jason for following. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Again, if there's anyone else out there not following this channel right now, you should go ahead and do so. Please do that. Yeah, I played Gustation, and if you put it through a sim, well, it's not like completely disastrous, as you can see, but it's not great. It's not great. I'm still like a 3/4 chance to win this game. 77% chance. Gustation gives me an 85% chance. Of course, any percent that you can claw on your side, obviously try and get as much as you can. But I mean, it would be disastrous if it was like a 50% win compared to like a 35% win. Then it's like, okay, it's either gonna make a difference between you winning and losing, like completely. I guess everyone's definition is a bit different. But 85%, again, I know that we said in the last move with Storm, 3% is quite a lot. And yes, the difference between these two is about 7% or 8%. It's again, still quite a lot, but again, the difference between 78% and 86%, you still would think, okay, well, I still got a good chance of winning here. It's not like somewhere down here somewhere. Well, actually, this ABO is not really a word anymore, but anything that's like below 60 or whatever. So yeah, I do miss this. I played About. And then he ends up playing Hefe for 44 points. So now he actually goes into the lead. And not only that, so I kept GIS blank, right? My draw was this. I blank. So I'm actually now holding GIIIS blank blank. So yeah, I'm now in a situation now. I'm wondering, how do I win this game? Oh, and I don't. And now, because I was thinking of About, and I was thinking of like, do I play Storm or do I play a bingo? Now I'm down to like 5 minutes. I don't have much time now to kind of work out what I should be doing. And like, what am I supposed to do with these eyes? I can't even get rid of 2 of them. What am I supposed to do? So yeah, it was tough. It was tough. And there's still 6 tiles left in the bag. So I wanted to kind of, obviously I have 2 blanks. I'm like, okay, well, let's go threaten for a bingo. Let's go threaten a bingo. Let's go see what happens, because a bingo is most likely going to happen to me and not to Josh. So, and I have both blanks, and there's still 1A unseen. So, okay, fine, 1A. And I decided to, again, the letters, some of the letters left in the bag are not particularly great, but I decided to play MIG, M-I-G, for 6 points, which unsurprisingly is not one of the top plays available. But I decided to do this because I have like an ING play and I have another blank. So I'm like, this is actually giving me a bunch of things I can do with ING on this spot. And not only that, if I leave 4 in the bag, then if he wants to block this for any number of points, he's gonna have to empty the bag. So like, can he really block this adequately and score a lot of points? The answer is no. Unless he runs the risk of me going out somewhere else. So I was like, okay, well, I'll keep IIS blank blank. So I'm like, okay, well, even if I don't draw necessarily particularly great, I could still draw into a bingo somewhere on this board. And he's not going to know where it's going to be. So I went with MIG. So if we generate choices, I don't even know. It doesn't even come up on the list as to what I should be playing. It's suggesting things like jig, which I kind of, I don't know if that kind of makes things a bit more difficult for me. GIS is also a playable thing, an option here for a greater number of points, but doesn't really do too much to kind of threaten a bingo. And maybe I should use the S here because I don't have an L for Luteal, and the S is not really worth that much on this board. There's no S hook for really anything. So yeah, let me just see what happens here. And you will see that MIG is not really going to come up. I don't think it's going to come up that high. So yeah, it kind of like isn't that good. Mediocre at best. But still, gives me a good 70% chance of winning. With both of my blanks. And yeah, maybe just scoring more points in this situation might be better. Maybe, again, it's kind of really fine margins here with such little time that I have on this turn. So you can kind of see here, yeah, not great, but I do hemorrhage about 6% win percentage here, which is not great, again, but still 71% chance. Why not IG? Wait, where is that? You mean here? You talking about this? I don't know. I mean, maybe I didn't generate that play in the time that I had. I guess this does kind of give away to set up sevens with an S, and it also gives me an ING play here and also a D. So maybe that is better. I just didn't generate the play in that time. So yeah, maybe that is a better play. In order to trying to get my bingo percentages up. But yeah, I did play MIG here. Let's move on. I did play MIG. And yeah, there's 4 tiles in the bag. And he ends up just playing Ulex and Luteal for 63 points. And he just told me after the game that I can't afford to let you fish again with 2 blanks on scene. Like, if he loses, he loses. That's just, so be it. But I just have to take the points and just hope that you don't have a bingo. So again, let's have a look at what letters that I actually kept here. So I kept IIS blank blank. So what are the 2 tiles that I could pick here? What are the 2 tiles that I got? And it ends up being the worst 2 tiles you could imaginable. I pick out these 2. I and the Y. Okay, almost the worst. Like, I could have picked out Y. I guess that's almost as bad. But I picked out IY from the bag. And I was like, oh no. How am I going to lose this endgame with 2 blanks and an S on my rack and I can't do anything? I'm like, this is the worst thing ever. But again, I could always look back and say, you know what, maybe I should have tried, if I found Gustation, maybe that would have been better. If I found a better, I don't know, better move than Mig, maybe I wouldn't be in this position. But if I just was destined to pick out IY from the bag, then I think I was toast no matter what. So yeah, that's the situation I'm in. And he has not particularly great letters, but he can score well with them, and it doesn't really matter because he's already 60 odd points ahead now. And really, yeah, nothing I can really do here. So just to kind of play out what actually happened, I played Idols here, and then he played Bylaw, and then I played I played Rigid for 7 points. Did see Indian. So yeah, really a tough endgame to kind of come to terms with, that I ended up just continuously, can't even speak, continuously picking out eyes and just junky tiles from the bag towards the end of the game. And yeah, wasn't particularly great. But again, doesn't take away at anything that Josh did, or did. He came back strongly to kind of wrestle the game back off me, despite me having chances to play bingos on other turns. As I said earlier with Storm, I could have played bingos then, and Mr. Bingo with Gustation. Again, not the easiest one to find, but again, if you want to win these big tournaments, you're going to have to find these players. And I did actually look through the AT, but I wasn't thinking of, randomly, I wasn't thinking of AT ION moves at all. So I didn't really think about it too hard. But yeah, even with Meg, I was still at a 70% chance of winning, miraculously. But I guess 29% of the chances of not winning was picking IY. So it wasn't to be in this game. So that's how it ended with Josh Castellano. I lost that game. This is game 5 of the tournament. So I'm now down to 1-4. 1-4 and a spread of -75. So not so good there. And then we're going to move on to game number 6. This is a game against Bob Lynn, which ended up being a high-scoring game. And again, I don't want to necessarily spoil it for anybody, but the loser of this game ended up getting the in the division, had the highest loss, or highest scoring loss in the tournament. So we'll go through this right now. Exotypo knows what's about to happen here. I'm here for this. You know. Okay. So, Bob starts with Octroy. Don't know how you pronounce it, but he starts with that. I think he said he had an extra I in his rack, so he's asking me at the end, like, what would you play? And I was like, well, I think Octroy looks pretty good, so pretty good. And yes, Exotypo was sitting next to me in this game. Octroy. I don't know. It was very entertaining. I'm glad you were entertained by this. Okay, so I started off with this, and I'm like, all right, let's go. 98 points to me straight away. Off to the races we go. And then he played Zoa for 46. And I have this rack. And just at this point, I was actually like, okay, I have duetting through that Eye of Octroy we just blocked. And I was like, do I not have any other bingos? And the answer was no, I do not. I do end up playing the best play according to the engine here, which is Gutted for 28 points. Just keeping an N. And then he thinks for about 3 minutes here. At what point did Bob start saying that's not very nice? He said that like 3 times during the game. He said something like, he comes up with this random stuff. I can't remember what he said, but he said like, "Oh, this is meant to be an easy win for me," or "Why? Can you stop scoring too many points or something? Stop coming back or something like that." I can't remember what he said. But in this move, he takes about 3 minutes, and then he suddenly starts playing this. He puts the J and the A, and then I'm like, okay. But he goes, boom, 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 boom. 83 points, boom. I'm like, what? And I was like, wait a minute, this is how you spell it, right? I was like, yeah, that is right. And this is a valid word. And I was like, what? There's nowhere else to play Jalebi. So what is he just thinking? Like, is it not a word? Or I mean, again, not everyone has perfect word knowledge or perfect certainty or word knowledge, but it was like, oh, okay. He was sitting there for that long, and then he played the bingo. Maybe you're just trying to muster up the courage to play it, or maybe he just wasn't sure of the billion spellings that or other spellings that you can spell it. But okay, I was like, okay, cool. That's a valid word, so good for you. Here, I have this rack. I could play Guanzi, which I was definitely thinking of doing, keeping EV on my rack. But in the end, I decided to just go with the kind of more standard play of Vexing, which ends up being the best play here. 9 extra points, keeping AU. So yeah, I was like, well, I think that's slightly worth it, and it is. So Vexing is the top play according to the engine. So here we are. I'm now up by 29, and then okay. So Bob now comes back with another bingo. He just plays straight away from Jalebi. He plays Outdated. 76 points. Boom. I'm like, oh, again? Come on, man. Come on. Give me a shot here. But just because this was in the moment, because I was about to play my own bingo. I have my own bingo here. And it is the best move according to the engine again. I play this through the L. 72 points. I was already in my mind thinking I was going to be ahead by a lot. Again, assuming that he wasn't going to bingo straight away. But instead, I'm taking a very small lead into this turn, and then he played Gru through the E of Outdated as well, so he ends up going slightly ahead. I have this rack, too many I's and O's. I actually make a slight mistake here, actually. I say a slight mistake. I ended up playing Fur, but I missed foregoing through the G's. So it ended up being quite a big mistake. It was like a 20-point error. It's just something I just didn't see. You end up seeing how by night, don't worry. So yeah, I missed foregoing. I guess I wasn't really looking through the G. If I kind of looked for ING players or just saw forego, maybe I would have seen foregoing. So again, that's down to not seeing those plays. But I went with Fur. I thought that was pretty good as it was. I guess I didn't really look too hard. So again, a mistake on my part. And then he plays Oik for 22. Let me just try and make sure I know where that was. It was here for 22, next to Fatted. And I have a bingo. I'm like, sweet. Out of nowhere. So wait a minute. I kept INOOR, and then I draw into I drew AR from the bag. So I have Aurarian. 69 points onto the S of Apolis, and great. So yeah, that was quite nice. So yeah, I'm up by 65 points. Feeling pretty good right now. Feeling pretty good. And this is where things changed. This didn't quite go so well now. So he ends up playing after about, I don't know, like 5 minutes. I don't know how long it was. It felt like forever. He suddenly plays he plays this and then this, and I'm like, oh no, what's he doing? And he plays Shapings for 167 points onto the N that I just put down. So yeah, that's not very nice. I know, I should have said it back to him, but I was like, I mean, it's a game-winning play. I have to challenge, even though I'm like 99.9% sure. I'm like, I have to challenge this play, so I did. It's good. You can also play phasings as well. So yeah, he got an extra 5, so 172 points. His face was priceless. Oh my god. Couldn't quite understand what was happening, because he took 3 minutes to play Jalebi, and then it takes about 5 minutes to play Shapings. So he plays that, and now he's 100. He's already got 457 points in 7 turns. You do the math on that. That's like 65 points, averaging 65 points a turn. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? What is happening? But you know me, I don't give up. I don't give up that easily. So, and I also got a bit lucky here, because I did draw into another bingo. I did have recline on my rack, and there is a floating A on the board that I just played onto, so I have Cinereal for 70. So, I mean, by this point, I already thought that this was a game already lost. So I'm just kind of playing these moves just for show now. And then he said, I think that's when he said something. He said like, "That's not very nice," or "How many bingos is that now?" He said something like that, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're still winning. What's happening?" Oh my gosh. So yeah. After 7 moves, oh yeah, sorry, I need to save the score. Yeah, here we go. See, I just missed like 3 turns, and now the scores have now gone like boom. I literally just missed the 2 bingos that I played, and then his bingo, and then now the scores are now gone like through the roof. But I'm now only 37 behind. And yeah. This is after 7 moves, so I'm averaging 60 points a turn. He's averaging about 65 points a turn after 7 moves. So then he plays Bevy onto the E of Epaules. Go 61 ahead. But I have a slight lifeline here, because I ended up drawing the S and the blank. On a relatively tight board here, I probably should have... I mean, I don't know if I should have... Well, I say probably should have. I should have done something different here. It's always acceptable to complain when your opponent has more bingos than you, regardless of score. Same vibe as complaining that your opponent drew all the S's, even though you played 3 of them. Exactly. Because it's your right to basically have all the blanks and all the S's. So then you're like, if they should not have any of those things on their act. That's not how. Yeah, you just can't. You should have a monopoly of all those things. So I actually do make a slight mistake here, I think. So I play QI here for 26 points. But this actually wasn't the best play. Same vibe as complaining about losing when you are 75% to win every turn. Exactly. But hey, I have the numbers right in front of us here. I'm not doing it by feelings. I'm doing it by statistics. All right. There's a difference, right? I'm trusting science. So it's saying that I should have done something else. So if we simulate this, you can see that, well, where is my move? It's not best. Quackle, Wimpers don't care about your feelings, I know. He always delivers me the truth. No matter if I want to hear it or not. It's basically like telling, it's like Quackle's basically like telling you like, oh, your kids are ugly, you know. It's like, don't say that, come on. But you know, it's just telling you what it thinks. It's got no filter, you know. It's just doing its job, whether you like it or not. But yeah, it actually prefers me to play QI somewhere else. It likes to play QI here because I actually well, potentially I could play like Quash or something, maybe something down from the queue, as a option there, or even playing QI on up to a scenario. He has, wait, what do you say? He has 10H. I mean, maybe so, but maybe he wants, I mean, not necessarily. He might, but there also aren't that, I mean, there are 5 vows. I guess they might still be possible. But it's also, like, the V is not that easy to play, maybe? I don't know. But you're leaving this spot. This spot is actually kind of very useful. Again, before that he played Bevy, there's that Y, and then there's a W and a Y here, or 2 M's, so that actually would score quite a lot of points. So it feels like if you really wanted to block the spot for an easy like 30 points, you should put something here. So yeah, it was, I was trying to figure out what he might have, and maybe I should have put something down here instead, or try to open something up, playing QI underneath, outdated. But quite honestly, I wasn't really thinking about even winning this game. At this stage, I was already like, I'm 60 points behind. I think that if I do win this game, it's going to be a bingo with Oix, or something through the eye. And I mean, I don't really, I mean, how am I supposed to claw 61 points here? The letters left are actually not that bad. Like, you don't even need to he doesn't need to bingo. There's still an O for OK. There's still a bunch of tiles for this. You can probably play it. You might be able to play something underneath the scenario, get some points. You might be able to play through the O, get like another 30-40 points. So like, how am I supposed to win this game? Like, the only way I can win is to get a bingo, and that he doesn't block it, doesn't block something. But in the end, QI that I played is not even the top 3 moves. It wants me to play QI somewhere else. But this is what I did. So I did this. I'm now 35 points behind. And then he plays, well, wisely, he plays down here. He plays Neum for 29 points, blocking the S bingo lane for Oix and also the Eye of Aurarian. Well, you're only 52. Yeah, no spoilers. No spoilers. So the score's 510, 446. Okay, so we'll go back to what Exotypo said. He said we're only down 52 here. So on the scoreboard, as you can see right now, I am down by what is that? 50, no, 64? Is that right? If I'm mathing right? I don't know. I think it's 64. And I have, wait, I haven't updated my rack. This is what I have on my rack. He ends up with Neum, he actually empties the bag. So yeah. So I remember when Bob said play shapings, he struggled to count it, and then asked a very frazzled us and said, "Is that right?" I mean, honestly, I didn't even count it. I admittedly, I don't really check my opponent's scores, so I was like, yeah, probably. I mean, it looks about right. But the thing is, so what Exotypo was saying is that shapings was actually, and when he actually counted it, it was actually counted as 158 plus 5. So this is it says 172 here, which is 167 plus 5. So we actually undercounted this play, his 9 timer, by 9. So, from my point of view, it was still 446, 501. So I was down by 55 points, and I have this rack. It doesn't look good because there's like a 30-point play here coming down next. Yeah, I'm in pretty bad shape. But I do come up with a sequence. I know, knowingly fostered incorrect score. Wow. So I had to get a little bit creative here. So I'm down. I'm on my scoreboard, on my sheet. I'm down by 55 points. So I actually now phonied on purpose to engineer a way to get a result. So, I was just hoping that he wasn't really paying attention to the score, or was really paying attention to what's happening. So I decided to play Vairs. V-A-I-R. Wait, this is a blank. S, which is not a word. It's just Avers and varies. There's only 2 words here, which I already knew that was the case. But because V-A-I-R-E is good, I think that's just, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a Collins only word. It doesn't take an S. So I was just kind of hoping that, I'm playing Vairs, he might just think Vair without the E takes an S. And he knows V-A-I-R-E, doesn't really think about the S hook, and just lets it go. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to play 32, just do my normal thing. And he doesn't challenge it. He doesn't challenge it. So, okay, on quackle, it's coming to me. It forms an unacceptable word, make the play anyway, yes. And should it be challenged off the board? No. So, I have this. You can see the letters left, HMO. I'm setting up Mo, M-H-O, down here for 40 points as an outplay. So he ends up playing Lay here for 31 points. He's probably thinking, he's already 30 odd points ahead. He's going to get another 30 points here. Like, you're not really that close. Well, technically at the time we both thought that he was just 23 points ahead, and he's going to get 30 odd points here. He's going to be way ahead. He's not going to matter that much. So he plays Lay. And then I play Mo for 40. And you can see the final score would have been at that time 532 to 532. So I actually found a way to engineer a tie out of a completely lost game. Only that, of course, we went through a recount and then found that Shapings was 9 points short. So I ended up losing this game by 541 to 532. So this is my 5th loss in a row on day 1. And I know, of course, you can't win a tournament on a multi-day tournament like this on day 1, but you could definitely lose it on day 1. And I was definitely in big danger and very high danger of losing this tournament on day 1. Now on a 1-5 record. Shouldn't have agreed to the recount. Always take the tie. Well, maybe, but he had already started doing it before I even. He was already recounting it before I even did anything. Pressured him into the tie. Yeah, I should have just. Well, this is a good result for you, Bob. Come on, 2,000 rate play here, and you just got a tie. Like, you want to risk it? But yeah, again, had to get a little bit creative with theirs, which is a known phony on my part, to try and kind of sneak around the rails to get the tie. But even with that, I was scuppered by the underscore 9 timer. So here's where. Oh man. Turn on the Riz. I know. I should have sweet talked him into like, hey Bob, how about we step away from the board for a few minutes whilst we look at our phones and submit the scores, and we'll just go somewhere else for a bit. But yeah, I couldn't quite believe that it worked at the time, and before I realized that he had already recounted it, lost by 9, so I'm now 1-5 minus 84 at this moment. So yeah, not doing too good, as you can imagine. And then we had one more game left, so yeah, that was game 6. Then I played Terry Kang in game 7. I'm not going to go through the game, but I did win that game narrowly by 32 points. I think if I remember right, there were 35 people in the division. I think I was in like 32nd or something at that stage. And if I did lose to Terry, which could have happened, I was actually behind midway through the game. I think I would have been second last. Maybe by now, maybe. I can't tell the difference. So yeah, 2-5 at the end of day 1. Not amazing. 28th position, maybe. I think I was around there. So yeah, knowing that, I think Alec Seaholm had already got to a 7-0 record, and I'm like, how am I supposed to catch up 5 games to this guy? And I mean, not playing amazingly well, right? But I'm not playing terribly either. I'm not like, I think what my level of play here is probably like on par with what I normally do, so it's not like I'm doing way worse than what I have done before, or I'm not playing any worse than what I did at Albany, which I did manage to get, I think, 5th place a couple of weeks ago. It's nothing like that, so I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just kind of going through a day where just things are not working. It happens sometimes. So end of the day, 2-5. Then fast forward to day 2, I played Wenwa Akinyi, who's one of the players from Kenya. Got off to a great start. I managed to win that game 557, 371. So a spread of 186, putting my spread up to 134 with a 3-5 record. And then we're actually going to go through this game against Jacob Bergman on game 9. There was nothing particularly, I will say right now, there is nothing particularly notable in terms of the moves that we made, but I will tell you what happened during this game, which made it kind of notable. And there won't really be much analysis of this game because there wasn't really that many difficult decisions from my part to kind of talk about, but I will, again, you'll end up seeing very soon what I mean. Wait, let me do this again. So he's first. And okay, so let's reset this. So again, I'm just going to kind of speed through this game because the speed that I'm going to go through this game is about the speed that I actually played this game. I will tell you that now. Jacob Bergman does this really annoying thing of confirming the cumulative score by interrupting your announcement of your score. I didn't even play him and it annoyed me. Actually, honestly, I can honestly say I do not remember that happening. But, yeah, he is very thorough about the score. But yeah, that's okay. I mean, that's okay. Some people are like that. It doesn't bother me personally, but it's okay. Ad for Applebee's bonus wings. I know you need to. Yeah, we've got a few ads coming up, but we'll end up going through this game pretty quickly. So he plays Kinder. I'm not going to alphabetize my rack, but I have Agonize. So I could play Agonize, but I find the better bingo of Organize for 81. Right there. Top move for me. He plays Versed. I think it was here making Organizes. So that's fine. He's actually ahead after this move. Have a lot of duplicate tiles here. You could easily have looked at the word Talak and just made that move pretty quickly, but of course I am always looking for something better, and I do find the best play available, and it's through the Z of organizers. I play Azola, keeping OT, which is the best play. And then he plays Coif, so he's actually scoring quite a lot of points on these first 3 moves. 129 points already. I get pretty lucky with this. I play Rootage, and I have 1 place to play it, so again, very easy decision to make. I'm playing this game pretty much how fast I played. I'm analyzing this game pretty much as how fast I end up playing this game. He played Wiper, so he's actually still not that far behind. And then I have this rack. Again, there are a few options here, but once you see the best play, then it is quite noticeably the best play. So I saw Thinnest straight away, but then I saw Hesitant and was like, well, that's going to be the best one here. 94 points, that's what I did. What did I do here? What did he do here? Wait, I can't even read my handwriting. Wait, I need to look at the picture here. Game 9. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry, yeah, I can't even... I had no idea what that said. But yeah, he played Doi, which is a bit strange because I was like, he could have just played Doi right here, and it would have been a lot more. But he didn't. He played Doi here. This was after like 3 or 4 minutes of thinking. He just played Doi here for 22 points. So I was like, that's weird because he could have played Oi for 29. A lot of things that were going on here. I was like, this is strange. Again, I have another bingo on my rack. I have Goutiest. Again, very easy choice because if I see it, then it's the only playable bingo. It's instant move, so after all that, I was only like 20 points ahead not that long ago, and now I'm 160 ahead. And then he plays his bingo. Here. Credited for 84. And I have this rack here. This was probably the move that took me the most time. I probably took like 3 minutes on this move. And bear in mind that I think I still had about 22 minutes left on my clock at this moment in time. I think I only used, about 2 or 3 minutes at this stage. Because everything was like, is the only playable bingo, a very obvious move. So I went from about 22 minutes to about 20 minutes or 19 minutes here. Ended up playing Save, which I probably isn't the winningest play because it gives my opponent more chances to come back. But I wanted to get another bingo down, essentially. And then after quite some time, so now because I was playing so fast, he took like 3 minutes on Doi. He took about 3 minutes on Versed. He took maybe like 5 minutes on Wiper. He took about 4 minutes on Fretted. He was actually a little bit low on time at this stage. So he played EH. He's still probably got about 3 minutes left. Like, he's down to about 3 minutes already by this stage. So he played EH. And I have this rack, which I think is a pretty interesting decision here because I was about to play Remix above Hesitant. Didn't end up happening. And now that it just got blocked, I can't do that. But I believe that I played the best move available here, according to Macondo at the very least. I actually picked Firearm onto the F of Fretted setting up another spot for my X, and knowing that there is an X spot here next to organizers, I set up another spot next to the A of firearm. So I did that instead, and if you simulate it, it does go straight to the top of the list, so all good. So this is a notable part now. So after that move, so he has about 3 minutes left, and I'm like, okay, I mean, we'll forward through this in a minute, but I have an X, I do have an O, so I can play Ox here, and I'm kind of like just twiddling my thumbs because I'm presently surprised you found firearm as a non-American. Yeah, I should just I guess maybe so. But I mean, again, I have a relatively straightforward play on the next turn. So I'm just kind of like looking at the clock and just like, you know, twiddling my thumbs, just looking around, taking a look at his time. Okay, it's down to 1 minute. Okay, well, you're still thinking. Bearing in mind, look at how many tiles are left. Wait, if I just save this, this isn't his actual rack, but there's still 20 tiles left. And then he starts to go overtime. On move 8, he's played 7 moves. He's already overtime. And he shows absolutely no urgency whatsoever. No urgency, nothing. It's like he's not playing. If you watched him play from the side and didn't look at the clock or didn't realize there was a clock there, you probably wouldn't even realize that he was overtime, because he started the move with about 2 or 3 minutes, and then he goes overtime, and then he goes overtime by another minute. And another minute, and another minute. So he's now like 3 minutes overtime. He's taken 28 minutes, and he's played 7 moves. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, like, I'm just like racking up the points right here, just without doing anything. So I'm like, this is great. And then he just like plays Nib for 21 points. Again, assuming that he must be close to a bingo at this stage. He's probably thinking about something. And I saw him kind of like, you know, sometimes you can tell because they're like shuffling the rack a lot. He was doing that a lot. So I'm like, okay, he must be close to something. So he plays Nib for 21. And of course, because I have like not very difficult tiles whatsoever, I have this. I play Ox. As soon as he's played Nib, like, I've already played Ox. Like, I'm not even waiting for him. And Jacob is very meticulous with the score and his bookkeeping. So he's not gonna hurry up. He's not gonna speed up. He's gonna make sure that his bookkeeping is correct, and that everything is fine. And yeah, so I play Ox instantly. Like, I'm not even gonna wait for him to write down his own score. Like, I'm putting down Ox like straight away. I've already added up his score by the time he's even said it, and I've written down the score, and then I'm playing Ox. So I think it was on my turn for like 3 seconds, and boom, I've already played 53 points. And now he's already 3 minutes overtime, and then he's 4 minutes overtime, and then he's 5 minutes overtime, and then I'm like, how much longer is this gonna go? Like, after 10 minutes, he's going to forfeit the game. I was only counting at opponents played because I wanted to write down the score real fast. And I don't want to be accused of, like, not writing the score down. And it was, like, a move like this where it was like, okay, I can work that out without even looking at it. So, yeah. He plays... wait, what does he even have? He has... is that right? No, wait, that's not right. So he has this rack here. So obviously he's looking for a bingo. He takes a while to find a bingo here, or the bingo that he actually likes the look of. But he actually ends up going for one of the lower scoring bingos available here. He plays loose sights for 60 points. Did he play it? I think he played it this way, like that. So he played it for 60. And by this point, because he's already taken 3 minutes to think, and he's already 5 minutes or 6 minutes overtime already, I have this rack here. I just picked up the J and the B from the bag, and obviously there's a big J spot right here, so I decided to play Jib. Jib here, and then I could probably play Jibe next to it. Don't want to use my Val. There's only 2 Vals on scene. So I played Jib for 41. Again, instantly played. Instantly played right that. So, let's see. He has this rack here. He takes another minute to kind of figure out what to do. So, he takes a minute and then plays Nye for 28 points. And then I take a little bit more time to kind of think about what to do, because I think he just blocked my outplay of Kemple. I think Kemple is good. I can't remember now. But in any case, I played Kemp, and then I played Dell in the last turn, so it's a nice out on 2. So I played that. He plays Ava underneath the... oh, Kemple's not a word? Okay. I can't remember what... Maybe there's a word similar to that. So he plays Ava, I think. What do you do? It's 14 points. Oh, just an ass, okay. So he played Ava for 14 here. And then I quickly... And then I just go out with Dow for 23 points. So... This is what the score would have been if he didn't run out of time. But... now you can tell him you went overtime. Well, the thing is that I'm pretty sure he knew, because it happened. It was like he was overtime for like almost half the game, so for 4 of his turns he was overtime. So I wrote down the time on my score sheet here. So like I don't know if you can see it. I had 16 minutes 59 seconds left, and then he went over by 7 minutes and 24 seconds, so he lost 80 points. So his score was now 339. He lost 80 points on time. So I ended up winning this game 550 to 339, a 211 point victory. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll take whatever spread I can get at this stage if I need to come back from this. One time Kenji played a game in under 2 minutes. I heard about this, that he wanted to enforce the 2-minute rule, so he let the time run for 23 minutes and then started playing or something. That's something I heard about that. Did Jacob have anything to say about the huge time penalty, or did he just wordlessly take it? He just wordlessly took it. Before I even like reminded him, he already had the score correct as 339. Like he already knew he already went overtime. Again, I don't really know why he took that long for all of those moves. Again, we only played 11 moves each, and he took almost 33 minutes, which is bizarrely a long time in anyone's book. But each their own, I guess. So that puts me at a 4-5 record plus 345. So my spread's now kind of gathering a bit of pace. And the rest of the day went pretty well also. So game 10 I beat Leslie Charles by 32 points, and then beat Roger Coleman by 60. So I went 4-0 that morning, and then inexplicably, well, I was actually 6-5 at that point. So now I'm actually like, I'm not too bad now. Inexplicably, I was playing against Matt Tunnicliffe for round 12, and then we're playing on table 1 as well. So it was actually going to be recorded, or like I don't know, annotated or whatever it was. And I managed to beat him by 20 points in a relatively close endgame. I could have analyzed. I mean, I could have gone through this game, but I'm not going to choose. I'm choosing not to go through this game today. But I did manage to kind of, get him at the end. So I managed to beat him in game 12. I beat Tim Weiss by 108 in game 13. So I'm now up to 8-5 And on the last game of day 2, I actually ended up playing Alex Seaholm. So I was saying, like, I was 1-5 or 2-5 at the end of day 1, and he was 7-0. And then at the end of day 2, I'm now playing him. So I'm like, what? How did this even happen? Unfortunately, I did beat him by 120 points to end day 2. So I went 7-0 on day 2. I went from a 2-5 record, or technically 1-5 record, to a 9-5 record after 14 games. Again, you cannot win the tournament on day 1, but you can lose it. But I did manage to bring it back at least. So that puts me just 1 game behind the leaders. So out of nowhere, I was back in contention again, halfway through the tournament. And then day 3, I started with a game against Joel Wapnick, which I managed to win 498 to 495. I'm not going to go through this game because it actually wasn't as close as the score suggests. I was ahead for pretty much the entire way, but he managed to get a few big scores down towards the end, which then made it a 3-point game. And there was a move that he played Stiddies, Stiddies, which I was contemplating challenging, and I did not challenge. So, good thing I didn't challenge because I would have lost otherwise. So, it was a good thing that I did not do that. So, I went up to a 10-5 record. And I will now go through this next game, game 16, against Brian Bowman. So now I'm actually one of the leaders of the tournament. I'm now somehow went from 1-5 to 10-5 with a almost 700 spread. So I've put up a 9-game winning streak currently, and I against Brian Bowman. So let's go through this game. I think there might be 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 more games we'll go through after this. Maybe maximum of 4. We'll see how much we can do for this. But this was a very interesting game, and I'll show you why. So he went first. Let's see. To remember what I think he played vertically to begin with. Let me just make sure. Yeah, he did. So he played Gelt, first turn for 10 points. And then I have this rack here. Nothing to write home about, just a kind of a, don't call it a comeback, exactly. Hi React, good to see you here. Yeah, I think I played the statistically the best play here of WOF, WOF for 19. Looks like Quackle. I mean, after a sim with Macondo, it does agree that this is the best play. But yeah, this was a very cagey start because he also played OD after this next to it for 17. And yeah, I don't really have much here either to write home about. I have this rack. I'm kind of happy that he ends up playing odd because I can play Buick and Walk for 30. Keeping DT blank. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. I could work with that next turn. No big deal. But he plays La, L-A-H, 26. So I kept DT blank and I ended up drawing ENDX. So this was not particularly good whatsoever. Especially on this board, especially now that that vowel is now being used of the Buick, so I have to play text onto Gelt, which is what I did, which I think was not necessarily the best play, but it's close at least. So I played text here for 27 points, and then he finally plays the first bingo of the game. He plays Agista and text, so I'm okay, that's fine. I mean, he could have played it as a 4-timer underneath Gelt anyway. Hi, Chest Bunzo. Good to see you. We spent many a morning lining up at the same time for Starbucks, so it was nice to chat with you as always. And then yeah, I drew into more consonants here, which wasn't part of the plan, but here we are with this rack. So I'm like, okay, well, I think it kind of presents itself. I just play Bandy for 22. Get rid of the duplicate N's and D's and put the Y out there too. I think that's fine. It's pretty good. And Macondo agrees after a sim that is the best play. And then he played Rayon through the Y as well. So that was that. And then I finally drew into some good tiles that allows me to bingo. So I have this rack here, and I play uncased for 89 points. Technically not the best play. I actually should have played encased here because there are fewer, big tiles that can go underneath the I than the U. Which is not necessarily the first thing you think about, but does make it a bit easier to play through the eye, maybe like a quip or something like that, but at the same time it's still one of the best players available here. Definitely a marginal mistake if anything. And then he plays underneath it with Brim, so I guess that was kind of right. If I played the eye there, he wouldn't be able to play that, but he plays Brim for 33 points. So now the scores are pretty much even right now. And I drew into a bunch of vowels. I drew into a lot of A's and E's. And then I decided to play Airy for 22 points, keeping EN, which looks pretty good to me. Again, it's hard to tell what to do here. The board is not particularly in a great shape right now for bingos, or that many spaces for bingos at this stage. If you don't have an S here, but you need like certain letters to kind of play through or onto to kind of get something down. So it wasn't amazingly great, which was really bad news for me here because he ends up bingoing on this next turn with O Mental onto the end of Rayon. It puts me in a little bit of a hole here. I'm now 55 behind, but fortunately I do draw very well on this turn. So I did keep EN, and I drew EIOS blank, and I spent a few minutes trying to find what the best move was here, and I did find the best play, which was Ebonize for 70 points. So fortunately I had something ready to go to kind of balance out potentially the worst case scenario, which was a bingo from him, which I managed to play myself, so I did that too. And then after some time, he actually plays Cared here, which was interesting because those are pretty good tiles to play. Like, why are you playing those tiles? Maybe he just didn't think that there was a good chance of bingoing. Or maybe he just wanted to kind of take the points on the scoreboard. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't know what other tiles he must have had. He must have had some... I don't know if he had maybe decent tiles or maybe not. Like, but I don't know. Maybe 2 vowels or something. I don't know. Who knows? But I was lucky with my post-draw bingo here. Wait, that's not right. I have this on my rack, and I got very lucky here because I can play next to a mental, so the very useful NY in Collins coming in useful. I have Yogi for 46 points, which actually puts me 32 points ahead on a board like this where there's no real great way to play a bingo. Coming in useful here. So After some time, Brian plays Hip for 32 points, tying up the game. And I have I say I have a slightly tricky position here. I have this rack, and you can see the tile pool as well right now. Not good whatsoever. In terms of like good tiles, there's no blanks, no S's, and like good vowels, like A and the E. There's only one of each left, but there are 3 I's and 3 U's. I mean, and then there's the J, the Q, and the V and the Z that are still unseen in a pool of 11 tiles in the bag. Like, this is a recipe for disaster on a really tight board like this. There's not really any place to play the Q. There are a few places to play the V at least, but the J is also not going to go on this board very well. So now it becomes tricky, because now you're like, it's almost like looking into a battlefield and you see all the mines like in front of you, and now you're like, how do I pick my way through the mines that I know might be lurking in these areas, but the person behind me is shooting me behind me and I have to run as fast as I can because we are tied on score. So how do I get through this as well as I possibly can? And I mean, from unseen to my point of view, there were still 9 vowels, 9 constants, so it wasn't that bad, but I also didn't want to necessarily blow all my vowels at one time. So in this case, let's have a look at the choices here. So like if we just simulate some of these choices, so like sometimes they just like me to play the V for 10 points, just get rid of the V again, get rid of the V again, just get rid of the V. But I don't think that those are necessarily the right plays, because we're not playing to play a bingo in this case. We're just trying to, say, avoid disaster, if that's a good way of putting it. And not drawing the Q or the J. So you're actually kind of like not really wanting to play too many tiles in a way. But you also have this spot here, this A blank E spot in this on the right side here, which actually could score quite a lot of points if your opponent does have like a V or a W or something. So I kind of felt a little bit of pressure to play something there. I think the best play after a sim was actually something like Sev here for 27, which scores a lot of points, gets rid of the V, and keeps a vowel. So like it does all the things that you want it to do. There are no more S's left and no more blanks left, so it doesn't really matter that much, and the S is not worth that much either. But I decided to play op. Just play OP, keep my E. Again, there's only one other E left, and I want to keep my S in case like I'm maybe a little bit behind. I need to open something up for a case S setup or something. So I decided to go with op, and Macondo does not like my play whatsoever. It says I lost like a 13 points from this move, apart from Sev. It doesn't like this play. I don't feel like it's quite that bad, but again, I have to bow down to what Macondo thinks here in this situation, and obviously I must be getting it wrong. So I think that maybe Sev taking the extra points and not being afraid to use the E and the S might be better here. Even though it was a move that I saw, but I just didn't think it was going to be a move that maybe Quackle or Macondo would really like, but I guess I'm wrong. So Sev was, sorry, my op was the play here. So let's do that. And then, don't say disaster, but almost the worst thing that could happen in this situation that is not a bingo is that Brian ends up playing QI in the bottom left corner. So not only does he get rid of the Q, but he scores a lot of points. And not only that, but I draw terribly. I end up drawing the V, another V, on my rack here. So I drew FV from the bag, and I was kind of kind of internally bemoaning my luck here for like, what am I supposed to do with this? Look at the pull, it is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And I'm now 16 points behind. Itiaz is saying, engines are easy to exploit in positions like this. It's definitely possible, yes. I mean, I think engines were kind of like having to play by their own ideology, so to speak. And they don't necessarily like cater for positions like this, where all you're doing is just trying to, again, avoid the mines in the minefield and try and get your way through to the end, rather than it just playing equity, or going for the bingo every time where there is no place to play bingo. So, in this situation, I don't have much of a choice. All these moves say exchange, but there's just one that doesn't say exchange, and it's 32 points. It's to play Earth, ERF, and fair. And that's the move that I did. I'm leaving myself potentially in big trouble here with 2 V's in my rack. If I draw like a bunch of U's, a J, a W, anything like that, I could be in big trouble. But I felt like I couldn't afford to exchange in this turn. I can exchange. There's 7 tiles left. But like, what do I exchange? Like, am I exchanging 2 V's? And then so what? So what? Like, I might just get the V's back. Or I'm just going to pick up tiles. I'm going to be too far behind, and then I pick up some other tiles which are where I can't score any points. So what am I supposed to do? And I felt like I had to go for it. There are a lot more vowels unseen from my point of view at this stage, so I can draw into some vowels. So even if I drew into like a U or an I or something, at least I have a vowel. At least I have something. I can still do something. So yeah, I decided to play Earth. And Makondo does agree with me playing this, so I was happy with that at least. So I'm up by 16 now. And then Brian plays Jowl onto the L of Gelt for 18 points, so he is only 2 points ahead. And with my NRSVV leave, I ended up drawing, well, I say fortunately, but I drew 2 eyes onto my rack. So let's just alphabetize that for you. So yeah, this is what I have. There's 2 tiles in the bag. This is now a really tough endgame to work out. I think Brian's probably on slightly lower time than I have. I've probably got about 6 or 7 minutes here, so I feel like I'm in good time. And if anything happens going down the stretch in the end game, then at least I have a bit of time to work it out. But again, I was lucky that to a degree that he plays the O out in space, so Vivo now becomes an option for me, and I keep INRS on my rack, and I draw 2 more tiles. It looks pretty good from my point of view. I also have 2 eyes to play Vinnick as well for 30 points. Like, that might be a game-winning play straight up, because there's no way that my opponent is going to realistically be scoring that many points with what's left in the bag, with so many U's and T's unseen. They're just not going to go anywhere. So let's have a look at the choices that it says. So it says to play Vivo statically, but what is the... Oh, wait, let me see if I can... Wait a minute, let me just go back 1 second. Play Jowl, and then go back to this again. And if we try and make the simulation go up to like many ply or something, then it still likes Vivo. It does like Vum quite a lot here. It doesn't like Vinnick whatsoever. Vinnick is only a 70% chance of winning, because you're keeping RSV, and if you join to like ZU or something, you might not be in good shape. I don't know. Well, you get 30 points, but if you join to like UU or something, I don't necessarily like agree with this valuation. And I cannot necessarily remember what the best move was, but I think that Vivo wasn't the best play here. But it was marginally like behind. It was not far behind. I think it was something like Vum that what actually liked most, keeping one in the bag. Yeah, I don't necessarily think this is right, but I think it does like Vum most because it doesn't want to empty the bag. But I don't necessarily know if that's really the right answer either. But it does preserve Vinnick for the next turn. And your opponent here in this case is not really going to be playing through the sea. So, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But it's a very tough endgame, even for humans, to kind of work out what to do. But I did the most human thing, I think, was to play Vivo. I decided to play this. Get rid of both of my Vs. If I have INRS, and the worst case scenario of me picking like 2 Us comes up, then at least I can probably still do something. I can still play Runic down here, and I can still do something. So I feel like if I can get like 2, like, I know that this is 18 points is not very much, but if I get like 2, like, I'd say medium scores for this kind of board out, then I might be okay. And I just need to get rid of these Vs. I don't want to be handcuffed to like taking 1 turn to get rid of a V for like 8 points. So let's get rid of them both now, and let's just see what happens. So I play Vivo, and let's see, what is his actual rack here? So this is his actual rack, and this becomes very interesting because I think what he ended up doing was the best play, and Itihasa did mention it in the chat just now and says Lays scores decently, and that is actually what he played. So he plays Lays for 28 points, and not only that, not only does it score 28 points and gets him really far into the lead, but he keeps ETTU onto his rack, and you can play Utterer here. It threads an outplay, which I didn't realize until about 30 seconds in after he played Lays. I was like, what's he going to do with this? Like, do I just play Runic and I win? Is that it? And at this stage, I have about 3 or 4 minutes left. I don't have much time. I'm now 12 points behind. And now with about 3 minutes to go, I realize, okay, Utterer is now a problem. What do I do with this rack? So yeah, I had to make sure my brain was in gear now, and had to figure out what to do. So let's see. So yeah, I had to come up with ways to get rid of, well, block the ER, but is there a way to block and score points? And Binak just mentioned something about US and Sir, which actually is, I will say now, is actually the play that I did. I played Us and Sir, which actually wasn't the best play. It's actually the 3rd best play in terms of spread. But Us and Sir is actually really good because if you realize that I have INRU left and I can still play Runic and News next turn and go out and win, the only way that he can block an outplay is to play ECU down here. Because things like Tutu would give me Ruin, and obviously Utu as well, and there's nothing else that you can really do to kind of threaten a blocking play upwards from the U with what he has. And he has no hooks for US either, so he has to play something like EQ, keeping 2 Ts, which I believe doesn't allow him to go out on the next turn. So he's kind of you're kind of handcuffing yourself to blocking me and not worrying about what you have on your own rack. So it becomes a problem potentially, but at the same time I worked out that if he does play EQ here, so if, okay, let's play it out. So if I play us and then he plays EQ, so I'm behind by 10. I have these two racks. I mean this rack here, he can't play out properly. So what I would do is just play UR and Rum, which would be 7 points, and then I have Yogini to go out for 11 points. So I have 2 decent scores to go out, and he cannot do anything. So I realized that if that happens, I had enough time to work out that if he did that, I would still win by outrunning him, and he cannot block this by in any other way to stop me from playing out. So I knew that US was a winning play, but I didn't necessarily see what he was about to play next. So he actually didn't play EQ. He played ET here for 17 points, and I was like, whoa. How much was that? 17? Of course, the US always wins, of course. Most times, at least. So he plays ET here, and I was like, oh, I actually didn't necessarily see that spot. But he only goes 22 ahead. I still have Runic to go out for 24, which he ends up challenging, and it was actually, obviously it's a good word, so if you challenge that and then do that, then I win by 11 points. But the best play here, according to the analyzer, is actually not to play us. It's actually to play, I think it was Sua. Because that way he cannot play Sierra down here. I can still play Runic, and I also have Ruin next to it. So he actually has to do something to block this somehow, and he cannot actually do that. So if he has to put something like Uts or something for like 3 points or something like that, something ridiculous. I don't necessarily know what the outcome would be in this case, but we can kind of play it through. If you ask a championship player, oh, actually, it says that Utu actually wins this. So if you play Utu, does it actually win? So if you play Utu, Yogini, oh yeah, so yeah, actually maybe US was actually the only play where I could win. Was it actually Sua or was it User? I can't remember. Let's check. Let's see if what happens after this. Because I could still play Ruin here, but I guess it doesn't really change that much. It says that Utz still wins after this. Yeah, Utz was still. And bearing in mind that Brian at this stage has about 20 seconds left, and I could do any of these plays. He'd have to be very accurate with what he does next. And then and then he has ET to go out. So actually my play of us might actually be the only winning play possible here. So yeah, very interesting end game that was ended up playing. I did find at least one of the outplays that outplay sequences that was really not going to lose. Yeah, and after us, yeah, he cannot win after this. So yeah, very interesting end game against Brian Bowman, and that's one I wanted to share with you. So yeah, I ended up winning that game. So I went from 1-5, and now I'm on 11-5. I'm now one of the leaders of the tournament. I'm up to like 3rd place or something now somehow. But this is kind of where things kind of went a bit downhill. Game 17, I'm playing against Alex Seaholm. I was actually ahead by about 100 points late near the game, but he bingos with Clotio for 68, played Zori for 46, and then goes out with a bingo with the other blank for 70 to end my winning streak of 10 games. So I end up losing that game by 67 on game 17. I played Josh Castellano again. I lose by 190. This was actually streamed on the Scrabble channel, but it was completely one way going here. He played Waygoose, Spinster, Cobsters for 98 points, and after that, the board was completely blocked, and I just struggled to get to 300 points. And then after lunch, I played against Thomas Renke. Lost this game also. Again, close game towards the end, but then he got a 106 point bingo down at the end. Which, yeah, obviously won the game. So that was that. And then I have, well, should I go through this game? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I won't go through this game. I was planning to go through this game against Ben Schonbrun. But I was winning by about 140 points near the middle of the game. He plays rigidly to kind of get to within a bingo or so, or about 30 points. He kind of stays about that way the whole time, but at the end of the game, I had about 6 minutes to try and work out a way to kind of, I mean, there were no bingo lands apart from the one that he opened, and then I tried to make a long word underneath it to kind of not give a hook above the letter that he put out, but instead I emptied the bag, and then I gave him a 5-tile underlap, all the letters that I just played, and he went out with Minuta for 79 to win the game, which was pretty annoying, I guess. That was really the only rack. I think I looked it up with the 10 letters unseen to me. That was the only 7 tiles that would have given him an outplay, and it just so happened that he had them. So fair play to Ben for putting that one out. So that actually puts me on a 4-game losing streak. I went from 1-5 to 11-5, and now I'm at 11-9. And then to finish day 3, I played against Moise Ulla-Beg, former World Youth Champion, and I managed to beat him by about 50 or 60 points. So I managed to end the day with a win, up to 12-9. So I went 3-4 that day. Not particularly amazing, but that was what happened there. Let's see. I can probably go through. Sounds like a crazy 2 days. Yeah, well, I guess crazier after this. You'll see. Wouldn't Uttera have won if played first? That is a good question. The thing is that would I have been able to block this? Actually, let's have a look at this. So Vivo, if we did Vivo and then this was the next turn, it'd be very difficult for me to block it, but I don't know where he would play the Z otherwise. I guess, well, yeah, I don't know. Let's have a look. So championship player. Yeah, look, Uttera, it does say that Uttera would win if he played it first. And Zati as the next, is next, which would have tied the game. He has Luz. Wait, what? He has... So Uttera... Oh yeah, he has Luz here, yeah, for 22. He would be threatening a big score here, yeah. So he has Luz or Lays, which would be worse. So yeah, actually you're right. He actually did have the right endgame sequence, or the plays, but the wrong way around. That's a common thing that could happen here. So yeah, I guess that was a game I probably should have lost, and Brian could have won that one. So yeah, that's a good find there. I didn't actually realize that at the time. So let's see. So I could go. So I've got 2 games here that I've got 3 games lined up that I could go through. I'm only going to go through 2 more, but you get a choice. Do you want me to go through the game against Winter or the game through a game against Joel Wapnick? So bear in mind, Ben Schonbrun bingoed out against me in game 20 to win the game. I'm probably going to... actually, it doesn't really matter. I think we'll go through the game against Joel Wapnick. But the game against Winter in game 22, I was behind to begin with. He had a bingo straight away. And then I bingo midway through the game. And then get some other big scores to kind of get my nose slightly in front. But then I kind of have a really disastrous draw where I keep EGS on my rack, playing 4 tiles, and then I pick out from the bag 4 E's. So I have 5 E's, G and S on my rack, and I couldn't do anything because then I drew the Q, and then he drew a bingo and then went out. So he went out with a bingo in game 22 as well to win the game. Whereas I was about 50 ahead at that point. So yeah, we'll go through game 23 against Joel Wapnick, and then we have one more after that we can go through, which will be the final game of the tournament, which we'll go through as well, and I'll kind of go through that later as well. So yeah, we'll go through this game against Joel Wapnick. At this stage, I am now at 12-10. So I've kind of lost maybe too many games already at this stage to actually win this tournament or get top 2. And as a result, I probably made a few missteps here that I probably wouldn't have done normally, admittedly. But you'll see that in a minute. So first move, I played WAD for 18. And then after a long time, he spends about 5 minutes, and then he plays Virid, which is a bit strange because he could play Vid for more points. So obviously he must be struggling with other weird tiles. And this is the spot where I actually made a very big mistake. It wasn't the biggest mistake ever, because of many other things that you'll see in a minute, but I had this rack, and I had a bingo, I had a holster to go underneath it. But I ended up playing a phony. I ended up playing Hostiler through the eye, which is not a word, and he challenges it off. So we can put that on the board. And I was like, as soon as I played it, I was like, wait a minute, that's not a word, is it? I was like, why did I play this? But maybe I was on slight tilt after losing to Winter, the previous game, sorry, and also losing to Ben the day before, 2 games before that, and I was like, what is happening right now? I couldn't really quite comprehend what was happening. So I phony bingoed and then got challenged off. And then Joel thought for another 5 minutes, figuring out how to block my move, and he ends up settling on non here for 12 points, which you may notice doesn't really block anything because holster anagrams to hostler, and that still plays for 77 underneath, so he couldn't find a way to really block everything. Or find a way to not allow me to play a bingo, so he just plays non. And then, well, this isn't what he actually has, but what did he? 16 points. Well, I'm trying to figure out what he actually did here. 1 second. Just game 23. Oh, AUA. Oop. So he plays Hour here for 16 points. And to be lucky, after playing a phony and then finally getting my bingo down, I actually end up drawing into another bingo, which was hugely undeserved. But I have Escalier for 62 points. So after playing a phony, I'm now up by 100. This was I played he played Zoe here for 48. And then I have this. So just thought, well, I'll keep my eye. I'll just try and get rid of some of these constants. I just played Dep. Didn't think too hard about it, but I think this was the best play after a sim, so it's actually not too bad. And another mistake that I made here. So again, there's reasons why I didn't win this tournament, and then there's reasons that I was partly unlucky. This was not an unlucky move, but he ends up hooking an L onto Zoea and playing Piley, which is not a word, and I didn't actually catch this until after he like picked up some tiles, and I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't take an L. So I wasn't really like paying attention. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to what he was actually doing, and he got away with a phony in the spot. Which I mean, oops. Oh, this was not challenged off. Wait a minute. This needs to stay on the board. Commit. No. So, to a certain degree, this was not challenged off, partly because I wasn't paying attention, but also because I had this rack as well. I won't make excuses that this rack is the reason why I didn't think about it, but because the I was there, and I had an F, and I had OF to play here, I wasn't really looking at what he was actually playing, which is kind of rule 10, you know, kind of basic rules 101 of playing Scrabble, is to pay attention to what your opponents are playing. And I did not follow that. But I was like, oh, I have an F here. I can score like 40 points here. Or like play of, which actually isn't too bad as a play. And I can get close to a bingo. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I didn't realize that the L was there. So again, another day I would have picked up on that and not allowed that to happen. But I didn't on that day specifically. And we'll have to learn from that. So I played of, and then he plays Jives onto the V through the V of Virid. Again, even after all this, I'm still, after a phony bingo and a phony on his part, I'm still about 50 points ahead. And it's my turn. And not only that, I have Doughties on my rack, which is about to play underneath Piley. So this might not have been, I mean, in the end, it might not have been the worst or the most crucial phonies to have let go. Because I profited with it, with Of and Doughties on 2 consecutive turns after that. And I'm still, even despite all this, I'm now 134 points ahead. Yeah, the score was Zoeals. Yeah. Oh, man. But, yeah. So, next turn, he ends up bingoing. He plays Leakia above Doughties. And this is kind of a bit slightly annoying. Again, this would have been too good to be true with the game, how it was going. But I had Formant on my rack, which would have played above Doughties if it wasn't blocked. But now I don't have a place to play it. But again, I still have a good play here after a sim. I believe that From does come out top and, after a sim. So 36 points, keeping ANT. I'm still about a bingo ahead, so it's all good. And then he plays B mix through the M and the I at the bottom of the board. And then I have this rack, which looks kind of ugly, but when you realize or notice that jives take a T hook, I can play something next to it there. So I played Baton for 30 points. That was one of the best players available here as well. So that was that. Still keeps me ahead and kind of takes out this T hook, this really dangerous T hook, and also this bingo lane next to B mix as well, who does a good job of kind of shutting down the board a little bit. Joel then plays Maglev to open the top left side of the board, and scores well with 32 points there. And then I have this rack now, which is relatively fortunate because I picked the Q and U together. I kept NT on my rack, so I picked out QU, COY. So yeah, not too bad in this situation here. So I decided to play quota in this spot here, blocking the M of Maglev for any bingos there, and scoring quite well with 34 points. Again, Macondo does agree that quota is the best play. So that's there. Still up by 72 points, but then he decides to play Y to the left of Maglev for 43 points, which was a lot. I mean, definitely puts him within within striking distance here. And you can see the tiles left now. Look at the tiles that are left. Not actually that bad whatsoever. And with the 1R that's unseen, that really now puts a big, this makes this YA spot on the, in A3 a huge spot for a bingo now. And there are 4 tiles in the bag, and not only with this R next to making Raya, but I have to worry about this right side of the board here with kind of relatively straightforward 7s that can go down here, or anything ending with an R would all fit here as well. And technically there is a B up here as well, so something I noticed at the time, you could play Green Bug or something like that that would fit as a bingo through the B there. So now there's all sorts of like all sorts of threats that are on this board now out of nowhere, and I'm only 30 points ahead. But yeah, now I'm looking at the pool. There's 3 E's, 2 G's, 2 N's, a blank, there's an R. It's actually pretty good on this board. It's pretty good. Like Renege fits, will hit fairly often. Renegue. Not even talk about the blank, you know, like Engorge, things like that, that would hit a lot of the time. So I was thinking, well, there's things like that that we could play, like as I said, with Engorge or Renege, and both of those would fit on this right side of the board. At least Renege only has, it can only fit here. Engorge won't fit on this side. Has to start, really, realistically, have to start with an R here. So I was like, well, I think I have to block the right side of the board first. And the question is, how do I block it? Because I can't just do like NY, because Engorge and NYE will still fit. And if my opponent doesn't have the bingo, I leave 2 in the bag, and then he can just play off 1 tile and then fish again. So I think the real thing that I have to do here is to not allow him to fish again. You just play 3 tiles, don't allow him to fish, score well, and try and block this right side of the board. And I felt like I played the right move here, or at least one of the right moves. So if we say like, well, if we ask the championship player, let's see what the championship player thinks. But whilst we wait for the championship player to kind of come up with an idea, yeah, I decided to play something long down on the N column using my Y. So I decided to play Yitrick there. It's kind of hard to kind of parallel next to Yitrick as well with all these consonants. So I decided to play Yitrick here. It likes sit as well. Maybe because if you draw an E, you get Sentry or something. You can score a lot of points that way. And you can maybe outrun a bingo possibly, and this does leave 1 in the bag. So this is actually a pretty strong play, which I didn't actually even think about because it doesn't block anything. But yeah, it's a kind of out of the box play with this 20-point play that's just up here. But yeah, if we simulate this, you can see that sit does come out on top after the sim, giving you like a 80, well, it's like a 5 and 6 chance of winning, almost 83% chance. And my move of Yitrick, oh, actually all the moves below sit are significantly worse. Don't trust the sim either? Well, it might be right. That's the thing, it might be right this time. Because sit, if you do sit here, but let's think about it, right? If you think about it, so if you do sit, and then you draw the E for sentry, you get 20 plus 45, that's 65 points. And that's like a net 95 points that 95 points ahead that you will be. So your opponent needs to get 95 points or 96 points to win. So like if you play a bingo down here, you get like 70 maybe. And don't forget that I'm probably going to play off all my tiles too. Or with sentry, I'm only going to leave like 1 pointers. So if you play something down here, you get like 70 points. And don't forget, you need like 96. Maybe say like you need 90 because of the count back. You need 20 points with 1 tile. Because I only leave 1 tile with sit. Or if you play renege down here, you get like 80 points. And then you still need about 10 points, 10, 12 points maybe. 10 to 12 points with 1 tile, which is doable, but not necessarily always likely to happen. Because you can probably get it with a vowel here, next to the W, or something, but if you like pick out a G or something as the last tile, like you're definitely not getting that many with that. So when I think about it, or if you think about it that way, then sit actually does look pretty good. But that is dependent on you drawing an E. But yes, if you play sit, and he plays 1 tile, that is possible also. Like, but then at least you'll know what he has. The chances. I mean, there is also a chance that he could have a bingo that only plays in 1 spot. Again, he could hit the Holy Grail and have renege and have both spots or something. Which is also possible. And then you just lose. But it's a very interesting endgame that this kind of throws up. And it throws up an option that I didn't even think about. So that's in my mind, if I kind of thought of it that way, again, you're assuming that you probably will pick an E with picking 3 out of 4 tiles in the bag. Drawing 3 where 4 out of 11 tiles are E or blank is very likely to get an E. Yeah. And again, if you draw the blank, then it's much unlikelier, much more unlikely that your opponent will bingo. So you either pretty much just draw an E or draw a blank, and then you're guaranteed almost 40 odd points next turn. So if you kind of think of it that way, then it's like, okay, you just outrun your opponent. It is not something that you would think about in this case, in this situation. But it could be what you would do here, especially now that sit actually also nicely leaves 1 in the bag as well. That is kind of an interesting kind of sequence that it's kind of throwing out that is very much like a very bot-like play. And again, I mean, I had time to work this out too. I just didn't even see the option. I just wasn't even thinking about playing up here. Yeah, he either plays a Raya Bingo or fishes 1 after sit. Yeah, so even if I play sit, he bingos, and then I play sentry, then yeah, it really depends on what tile he gets. Because the worst case scenario would be he plays renege and then draws like a blank or something. Or something, or draws an E or an O or something, and then he has 15 points to go out. So that's how you would lose. But that's after playing like a high scoring bingo like renege here. But if you play renege here, you get like 70 points or something, not 80, which makes a big difference. So, I don't know. These are the kind of like I feel like these are the kind of positions where I personally feel like I could probably do better. I just don't generate moves like this enough. Well, I'm still simulating this. It's now up to almost 9,000 iterations, and it's not really changing. So yeah, I can just stop it here. But Sit comes out 10% higher than anything else, and 11% higher than my move of Yitrick, which again, just like what I said earlier in the stream, I had a 71% chance of winning after Yitrick. And still significant. It's still significant. Don't forget, like I'm still very much the favorite to win this game after Yitrick. So I didn't necessarily play. I know that it wasn't as close to being the winningest play possible, but it's not, again, not a disastrous play where I played something down here where I'm now like surrendering the game almost, you know, something like that. So yeah, I mean, I can't necessarily beat myself up about that much stuff either, but I guess it's more like I need to kind of think more outside the box on moves like this. Even though I'm only 30 ahead, I could potentially still outrun my opponent here. So it's just food for thought for me. I don't necessarily know if I'm how I could necessarily practice that, if I can, or if not, maybe I just need to play more games, which, you know, on the stream I will do more of eventually, but it's just food for thought on my part. So how this really panned out was that I played Yitrick, 34 points. Okay, I'm like, okay, well, if you have a bingo, you bingo, you know. And then what it turns out is I turned over my ladders and then do the tile tracking, and then he has this rack. So I'm like, okay, alright, you win. So he plays Reneged for 80 points. And there was GNNOU left. So GNNOU left in the bag. I actually would not have picked out an E if anyone really cared that much. There was a, you said IPU Disciple says 79% chance of picking an E or a blank. I would have hit that 21%. But I would really need to manually check all 55 possible racks for the opponent. Exactly. And yeah, good luck doing that when you have about 7 minutes on your clock. So it's like, it's one of those things where, like, if you were playing chess and you had like a 2-hour timer, this would be the move where you spend about an hour and 30 minutes figuring out what the best move is. But again, we don't have an hour and 30 minutes. I just had about 6 or 7 minutes to work out what to do, and kind of go by feel, percentages. I was like, okay, maybe Yitrick. But in this case, he played Reneged, goes out and wins the game. He goes out to win. So yeah, bit of a cooler there as well. So this was game 23. My opponent went out with a bingo. Previous game against Winter, game 22, he went out with a bingo. And 2 games before that, I played against Ben Schonbrun, he went out with a bingo also. So within a space of 4 games, my opponent literally bingoed out to win the game 3 times. And those were my 3 last losses. So at this stage, I'm now just lost to Joel in game 23. I'm now down to a 12-11 record. So I'm out. I'm out basically. I can't get to the top 2 now. It's like, it's pretty much mathematically impossible. I'm down to, like, I don't know what position I'm in now, like 18th or something. For game 24, I was rewarded with a bye because we had an odd number of players, and I think they were just working their way up. For whoever hadn't had a bye and was lowest position at that time, got a bye. So I had an hour off to kind of go through those games in my hotel room for an hour and look through them. But after the bye, this is where things turned. So don't forget, I was 12-11 at that point. Now 13-11 with a bye. I played Jason Ubika. I got pretty lucky against him. I seem to always get pretty lucky against Jason Ubika randomly. And I won by about 150 points, so I'm up to 14-11. After lunch, I play a very tough, hard-fought game against Tony Leah. I won by 18 points, improving to 15 and 11. Game 27, I play against Sam County Matthew. I won by 137 points there as well, so did pretty good. And then the last game of the day, I play against Will Anderson, game 28. Was pretty close to begin with, but then I got Stenotic for 74, got Flooring for 76, Cozes for 56, and then Sweaters for 65 to end up winning the game by 169 points to finish the day on 17 and 11. So I was now somewhere in like 6th position or something, or 7th position or something like that. So now in a position, I've now won 5 in a row again. Most of my wins from earlier in the tournament were from a 10-game winning streak. I've now notched up a 5-game winning streak going into the final day. Of course, I didn't make, that was the cutoff time for when the finalists were locked in. And then we have 3 more games to go. So in the final day, I play against Jason Keller. I beat him by 35 points, now up to 18 and 11. And then game 30, I get a shot at getting revenge on Winter again in game 30. And I managed to get him by 15 points. It's not by much. So I'm up to 19 and 11 going into the final game against Alex Seaholm. So I'm now in 4th position. And we will analyze this game against Alex Seaholm real quick. This will be the last game of the tournament, our last game that we'll analyze, and I'll show you what happened. But I'll kind of paint the picture of what really needs to happen here. So I am a game behind Alec, I think. Yeah, I'm a game behind Alec. And so yeah, I'm a game behind Alec. I need to win by 162 points to overtake Alex Seaholm to get 3rd place. So that's what I need to do. However, he's in 3rd, I'm in 4th, and in 5th position is Matt Tunnicliffe, who is just 20 spread behind me. Same number of wins, 20 spread behind. And I think Ben Schonbrun is a game behind him, but with a better spread than us. So ideally, obviously, I just wanted Ben to win, just on a personal best case scenario. That way, I don't necessarily need to worry too much about Matt. But obviously, I could lose by a lot more than Matt, and then he could still overtake me. So yeah, it was a bit of a precarious position here. I didn't want to lose by too much, but also didn't want to rely on other people's results. So this was kind of what we had to, what we're kind of after here. So let's kind of go through this last game against Alec. It was a really strange one as well. You'll see, because the start of the game was very weird. So I played Igapo for 18 points in the first hand. And then he plays, what does he play? He plays Joy, I think, for 33. I think it's here. 33 for Joy. And I got a bit lucky here because I draw into this. And I find the best bingo playable. 81 points for Fatos. I almost see it instantly. Take another 30 seconds to kind of look for other things, or another minute or so. Didn't see anything else. This doesn't really give away anything. This is by far the best play, according to the engine. So raced out to an early lead. This is good. And then he plays OH for 35 points. Again, not giving anything away here. This is my rack now. So and then what did I do here? So Hall would have scored a lot of points, but I played Wall instead for 25. Again, it's not a bad play here. It's pretty much one of the top ones available. Again, some of these moves are pretty close otherwise. But yeah, this is one of the best plays around, so it's all good. So yeah, this is a very strange opening because then Alec plays Ava for 24 points. So there's really nothing much like given away here. And I have this rack. Oh, with another E. So what am I supposed to do here? And to keep with the theme of what's going on, I decided to play Haha for 18 points, but I dropped my H for 18, not opening up anything, and keeping my 50-point lead. Pretty quickly, Alec plays a really nice move through a lit. He plays a Venality for 26 points. So again, kind of opening up a little bit, but doesn't really open up too much. I have this rack now, and I kind of decide to close it up a bit more again. So I played Dev through here, which is not necessarily... I mean, it's one of the best plays available. After a sim, this actually does come up second best. So it's just kind of defensively pretty good. Hi to Delda, also good to see you here. And then he plays Klops. This is like a classic NWL like board, but he plays Klops. So I'm like, okay, cool. Doesn't score that much, but he's starting to kind of weave his way out a little bit. So basically, you are basically saying you don't care about third with these moves. I'm just trying not to lose. I'm ahead. I don't want to lose. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so this is my next rack here. So I don't have an ass. I don't have an ass here. I could open up, but why would I open up? I would give away the triple here or floaters. So I was like, well, okay, well, I'm not opening up. I'm not opening up anything. I'm gonna play BE right here. So I'm just like, I'm slowly kind of working my own way towards a bingo, but I'm just kind of waiting for him to play something that might give me something to play through. Just BE now. Okay, I'm glad that you... I mean, I'm assuming this is the same one. I'm glad that you agree. Okay, but then he played Demures onto Joyce. So I'm like, okay, well, he's got his bingo. Fair enough. And then I have Retinol. So I was kind of, you know, slyly working my way towards a bingo, and I do get my bingo. I play the one and only bingo playable, Outliner, 70 points. So we're kind of back to where we were. All good. And maybe he decides to not want to go back to this block board. He plays Graced, opening kind of this bottom right part of the board now. And I have this rack here. Admittedly, I wasn't 100% sure when I played it, and I was like, oh, I don't want to play phony in this spot where I'm like tied. But I was like, I'm pretty sure this is good, and I played Faulted, which he held, and then let go. So I was like, when he held, I was like, wait a minute, am I misremembering something? And then he did allow it to go, so it is a valid play, of course. But it was good. So 42 points is by far the best play here. It would be it would be terrible not to play, yeah, because like everything else keeps the U, and then you're just screwed. So I was like, I might have to just go for it here. But yeah, I play QI. He plays QI for 37, which is not really something I wanted to see, but there we go. Merely because I had this rack, and I had Xterp to play through there for a lot of points. And then the QI not only gets rid of his Q, but also blocks my move, so it was kind of annoying. But yeah, was kind of torn between, do I just wait for an E, or do I just drop my X now? And I figured I probably should just drop my X now and not wait, because the E, there's only 4 E's left, and it might not come, so decided to play Rex for 28 points here. So keeping myself in front. And then he quite quickly plays in underneath Outliner for 25 points. And I get very lucky here. I will admit I got very lucky because I did keep PARTI with my last move, and I picked out ES from the bag. I was like, oh man, this is amazing. But yeah, what is the play here? So I could play something down here, giving away a lot of floaters, but big brain play here. I play Lipperites for 72. So yeah, 72 points. Doesn't give away, I mean, obviously it scores more. Doesn't give away the triple on the bottom right, and gives away fewer floaters. Has an anagram. Does it have an anagram? Yeah, Reptilia. Yeah, Reptilia is only Reptilian, I think. Yeah, I don't think it does. I don't think it takes a. I don't think there is an anagram with this. Okay, so Lipperites was the move I played. So there was a bit of a, I mean, you'll see later on in this game, there is a caveat to what happened in this game that no one will, you may not necessarily have heard of. But this is the moment now, because I need, again, if you didn't hear what I, maybe for Delta who turned up a bit late, I needed to beat Alec by 162 points to overtake him, but I needed to win by 20 points or more. 20, well, Matt Tunnicliffe had to win by 20 or more points than I did against Ben Schonbrun. So now I'm about 80 ahead. I'm like, oh, okay. Do I go for another bingo, or do I just kind of like take my chances here with 4th place or 3rd place or whatever or whatnot, and just see what had happened? So at this moment, I kind of knew that what Alec was thinking. He decided to, he had Wiz, W-I-Z. He did not play it down here. He actually decided to play it across. So this, to me, was making me think, you know what? He's actually thinking about not losing by a certain amount of points. And really, that's all he needs to do. He just doesn't, I mean, he probably has already maybe thought he's already going to lose this game. So he plays Wiz here. Swizz, sorry. So I'm up by 51. And it was a pretty nice move for me because I had a relatively straightforward move to go here. I just played Oozed onto the Z of Swizz. So I was like, okay, great. This is a great position for my Z. And then he plays Rib. So he doesn't play Rib, well, he plays Rib here. So now I know for sure he is trying to block everything. He did not want me to do anything with this. Not to win by any more than what I have right now. Because I have this rack. I actually could have played, if he didn't block anything, I could have played Smoltine down here and actually threatened a 162 point win. But instead, he actually did play Rib. He did the defensive thing for the tournament. He cannot go any higher than 3rd place. So in his from his point of view, I guess he just needed to not lose by too much. And this is actually, so a lot of you may not know this if you weren't there, but I actually I called the director at this moment in time. At this point in time during the game, I raised my hand and said, "Director, with this, bear in mind this is the score." Wait, let me just save this. So this is the score. I'm now ahead by 65. And I'm wondering, and I actually see on the other side of the room, I see Matt Tunnicliffe and Ben Schonbrun finish their game. They're walking off. They're walking away. I essentially see Matt looking pretty confident, pretty happy, and I see Ben looking pretty dejected. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure that Matt has won his game. But the question is, how much? How much has he won his game by? And I have no idea. So the question is, do I go for a bingo now to try and get to 162 points and potentially lose on spread? So how much do I need to win by? How much do you need to win? How much do I need to win by? So need to see. Well, yeah. So I asked the director, can I go see the scoreboard? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm just saying, can I go see the scoreboard? And I'm very very open with what I'm about to do. And then he says, you're not allowed to look on your phone. This happened before Craig did it. You probably remember. Oh, I don't. But the thing is, the difference is that I'm not allowed to use my phone, but I have to find out from like a third party or something. Yeah. So like there were no printouts of any like of any standings on the walls or anything. And then I remembered, oh, you know what? In the streaming room, in the other ballroom, there are a series of scoreboards, enhanced scoreboards, laid out on the other side of the room, and that's what was there. So it was quite some way away. I had to leave the room if I wanted to go see it. So I had to go ask the director, and was like, okay, well, you know, can I look at the scoreboard or something? Let's see what happened. And he says, technically this would have to be like a bathroom break. So you can do that if you want. You got to leave your phone on the table, and nothing in your pockets, nothing like that. And then you can, in theory, you have to play a move, and then don't replenish tiles, and then you can go to the bathroom or go to see the scoreboard or whatever you want. Again, I'm not being streamed in this game, so it doesn't matter if I'm going into the streaming room and having a look. So I play my next move, which I believe is the best move anyway. So I played Engraced for 36 points. If you look at the moves here, actually, funny enough, Alec challenges this play, so I get an extra 5 points for this. So I get 41 points. So I'm up by over 100 now. Did he force you to go to the bathroom? He did not force me to go to the bathroom. So literally, I played Engraced, and then I was like, okay, I'm ready to go run to the other room. But nope, of course, Alec challenges it. So we go to the challenge station, come back, I write my score, and then I put my other 5 tiles on the table. And then I literally bolt it out of this ballroom. I'm running out the room. I run past Benji and Tim Weiss, who are kind of like bemused to why I'm running out the room. And then I run into the other ballroom, which has Will Anderson in there because he has a bye in the final game of the tournament. And then there's like a few people that are actually like milling around or just talking to him. And then Matt Tunnicliffe is kind of standing on the one side of the near the enhanced scoreboard. So I'm literally running from one side of the room all the way to the other side of the room to look at the scoreboard. And then I noticed that Matt had won by 70 points. No, it's not 70 points. Sorry, wait a minute. He didn't win by 70 points. He won by I think it was 110 points. He won by 110 points. So because he started with a spread that's 20 fewer than mine, his spread is now 90 more than mine. And technically a game ahead because he finished his game. So he is currently, at this moment in time, the spread, on the scoreboard, he is a game and 90 points of spread ahead of me. So I'm like, okay, if I'm looking at this right, I need to win by 91 points or more to stay ahead of Matt. So I see that. Matt's telling me as I'm running back, say, go win big or whatever it is. I think that's what he said. And then I run back into the room. And by that point, Alec had not played a move yet. So at this stage, I'm looking at the score of this game. I'm 6 points ahead. I need 91 to win to stay ahead of Matt. And I'm like, okay, I think this makes I mean, there's not enough tiles left in the bag to really mount any comeback, and the board is too tight. So I think I'm just gonna play it safe and just try and win by 91 points or more. So his next move here, he plays Tika and a bed. So that's what he does. I do draw a bunch of consonants here as well. So I have this. So this is now the end game. I'm now 83 points ahead. Well, so I'm gonna be reading the chat. 1 second. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I have this rack now, and the thing is that he can play Ego, and then he has a U which doesn't go out for many points. So I'm like, okay, well, if he plays Ego, what is that? 28 points. So if he gets 28 plus another outplay, I just need to score twice, like pretty big, to win. Is it collusion to tell him how much you need to win by to beat Muffin? Maybe, I don't know. Can you just play most? Wait, where's most? Wait, where am I looking at? Oh, you mean down here? Most? That might work. See what the championship player does here. So most, but the thing is that you could, I mean, is there anywhere else to go out? I mean, you just play Lint, but that's the only way. Like, he could block that with like I don't know, he could block that out. You can't go on 2. Yeah, so okay, so after a while I did work out what to do, and I decided to play Sty first. I played Sty first. 23 points, and I'm like, okay, I have Myrex next turn. I mean, he's never gonna play there. He's never gonna play here. Like, what can he do in this spot? So yeah, let him have Ego. Let him have Sty and Myrex. I should be have enough. Yeah. So like, I should be fine with the amount of points that I'm gonna score over these next 2 moves, and it doesn't matter what he does. I think I'll be okay. So what I did, I played Sty. Let me just commit this. So puts me up to 486, and then he has Ego for 27. So that's 407 for him. And then I play Myrex, which is actually better than Mantle. So like, I did see that Mantle was a possible outplay too, but the thing is with Mantle, if I do this, if I commit this, this is what happens. I win by 88 points. It's not enough. It's not enough. So I am forced to play Myrex here. I mean, Myrex should be the best play anyway, but it means that I did have to kind of like pay attention to what I was doing and the score. And with Myrex as the play, and then I'm up to 516. And then he plays OU and Kerr. So that was it. So it was a 516 to 420 win for me, a 96-point victory, which ends up putting me into 4th position, just 6 spread points ahead of Matt Tunnicliffe, because I went out the room and checked the scoreboard. I don't know if that would have made really much of a difference, because at that stage, my this was the end game anyway, so I just have to come over. I just had to find the best end game anyway, which this was, and it just so happened to be that it was enough to get me 4th position. But on another day, I could have just played Mantle if I didn't know the spread, and then not even thought about Myrex, and then not ended up getting the 4th place. So yeah, so that's what happened. And that was the final game of the tournament. So I ended up finishing on 20 wins and 11 losses. It was kind of weird because only 2 of my wins of those 20 wins were not part of a streak. So the first game that I played, and then game number 21 against Moise Ola, which wasn't a streak. I had a 10-game winning streak from spanning across day 1 to day 3. And then I ended up winning the last 8 games of the tournament, which is 18 of my 20 wins just from streaks alone. So yeah, I ended up getting 4th place. It's like $500 or something. So yeah, that was an interesting tournament to be part of. Many highs and lows, and games which I probably could have won on other days, and other games which I probably could have lost or should have lost. So it was tough. So the optimal play for Matthew in that situation is to run his clock to 0 so that you can't have the info on his score. I've actually done this before. Or just delay entering the results, then ask for a recap. Maybe, I don't know. I do remember that I started my game like later than they did, or start later than most other boards did. I didn't do this on purpose. I was actually just talking to Lindsay on the phone, I think. My wife on the phone before the final game. But I think I did start. I mean, but I was actually, we were both playing pretty quickly anyway, so we kind of made up a fair bit of time. But yeah, it was just an interesting, situation to be in. Was I allowed to look at the scoreboard or whatnot? But again, I was very open and honest about what I was going to do, and I told Alec about that too. But from his point of view, as long as he didn't lose by 162, it didn't really matter to him. So he didn't really care that much. The optimal play was to go to the other ballroom and lock the door, and that way I can't come back in, and they'll just start my time again. So yeah, it was an interesting thing that happened in that tournament. It's an and then once you start later, the situation is so rare they don't really adjust for it. Yeah, so it's not like everyone has to. Yeah, because sometimes they don't start the last games like at the same time. It's just like, oh, the pairings are out. Okay, so and there's people just milling around, or people not even in the room, and then 2 people are just in the room, and they're like, okay, let's play, let's start. And then 5 minutes later, there's other people are still milling around, and then they don't restart at the same time. They don't like make you all sit down and then start. I know that people have like flights to catch, and they can start earlier, then they'll just do it and just leave. So yeah, a bit of an interesting situation with that one. But yeah, that was kind of how my tournament went. It was not amazing. I think there were a lot of games which I lost due to last minute bingos played against me. There was at least 3 of my losses which that happened in a 4-game period. Actually, also Alec also beat me with an outplay in game 17. So game 17, 20, 22, and 23, all I lost because of an out bingo. I was ahead on all 4 of those games and lost to an out bingo. So, things like that could, on another day might have turned out differently, and then maybe I would have got more wins than 20, potentially, who knows, and maybe would have got a bit closer to finishing in the top 2, again, those kind of things happen, but yeah, over a 6 or 7 game period, 7-game stretch where I have 4 out bingos played against me is not necessarily the best, but that's what Scrabble does, and that's what Scrabble can happen in Scrabble. So it is what it is. But once again, managed to finish 4th, so all good. And yeah, big congrats to Josh Castellano for winning the tournament as well, being very dominant in the initial 28 games and winning 3-0 in the final. And of course, also well done to Mac Mellor for winning the NWL division as well. So yeah, all good, and yeah, I'll be back for more soon. But yeah, that's pretty much wraps up my my game analysis for SPC. So we went through about 7 or 8 games tonight. But I'll be back again on Thursday, where I will be analyzing my games from World Cup, which my World Cup campaign did not go anywhere near as well, unfortunately. And yeah, I chalk it. I mean, again, I will say that I didn't play any worse than I did at World Cup than I did here or at Albany, where I did finish in top 5 in both of those events. I finished like 15th or something in World Cup. Again, tough field, whoever you played against, and there were some kind of very brutal moments that I had in some of these games where, like, I'm just a passenger. You're just a passenger. Sometimes in these games, you're just a passenger. You can't really do much, and you can only just do the best with what you've got. And then your opponents have got lots more things to do, lots to play. But yeah, I think in this tournament I averaged like 2.3 bingos a game, so I can't complain. But for World Cup, I was much lower. I think I averaged like 1.8 or something. So that kind of shows you how I was really struggling in this tournament. That you'll see on and yeah, if you tune in on Thursday, then you'll see how that how it really panned out from my point of view. But yeah, pretty brutal. But you know, we'll relive it for the stream. So yeah, I hope you guys can enjoyed the stream today. Again, if you haven't already followed my channel, please go ahead and follow. It would be much appreciated. But otherwise, I'll be back again in 2 days from now. We'll go through some of the games from World Cup and pick apart some of the positions that were interesting or interesting things that happened over my 31 games there too. So, hope you guys can join me for that next time. Otherwise, I will have to end the stream now. I don't think there's anyone for me to raid, but yeah, I might just end the stream here. I might not even raid anybody. But yeah, okay. So yeah, hope you guys can join me on Thursday night for the analysis of the World Cup stream. Hope you guys have a good evening or good afternoon, I guess, where Elder is right now, or wherever you are in the world. I'll see you in a few days. So take care, have a good night, guys, and see you around. Good night.